ultimates at multiple occasions, right?
Rama.
Fights they do leverage that orbital ray. And some moments here, you know, from our DPS on the side of Falcons where Proper's able to roll back the years a little bit and show off his Genji prowess.
Yeah, I mean, making some plays with the blade, right? Looks fantastic, as Proper usually always does, right? No, rarely do you ever see him have a bad game or a bad match where coming out, making some plays on the Genji, getting Falcons a much-needed map win.
So again, we're already seeing a bit of a departure from the expected metagame and style that we've seen, and that's the beauty of the game right now, is that you can sort of make these adaptations, and there is still room for hit scan to have impact.
Yeah.
We touched on it briefly, right? Ashe's changes in that late October patch, right? That you know, increase her ult charge sort of speed when she's shooting burning targets, and also cooldown reduction on her other abilities when she's doing that. Makes it very, very strong. But Twisted Minds making a map pick here. We've just got word. We know what the map's going to be. King's Row will be selected here. Not what I expected, but still a map where Farah's very valid.
We've seen them play this, so they do a really nice job keeping forts like on the high ground on the defensive side of things. I believe it will be TM on attack first.
Yeah.
And you also see Farah be pretty effective here, right? You know, spamming some of those chokes, and we've seen them like have TVNT up on the high ground with like a Maga being able to kind of contest that and hold that. So this is one that you know, TM has definitely played a lot.
When we first saw TVNT come into this team, it was a lot of D.Va play, right? D.Va was very much meta at the time. It was a great option against like some of those Winston-based dive comps. And then we saw this team move on to the Orisa, something that TVNT had to adjust to a little bit, right? There was an admission from Twisted Minds that he didn't really hit the ground running necessarily in that metagame.
Now had a lot of adjustments.
すいません
Yes, that is a safe way of putting it. That's right. I mean, but they managed to obviously to make this qualification happen and come out and win that first map so convincingly here.
この回線の弱さだから
you know, a reality which we are
あんま
not
配
in
信
a
しないっていうのがある
one world like many people have been speculating. Having seen some collegiate Overwatch, and I mean, if you watch the Aurora Cup, you saw a lot of Zarya. I wouldn't read into that too much. I don't think we'll see that. That's very much a special China flavor. Here we go. King's Row. It's going to be for our decider map of this first to two selected by Twisted Minds, but you better believe it's a battleground that Falcons are all too familiar with.
King's Row 何が出てるの
I was like, hey, you guys
普通にマウ
have
ガでやんのか
a bit of a circus of a year, and they were like, yeah, no, it definitely has been. But they also felt like the chaos of this year and the ups and downs have definitely kind of given them a little bit of
さすがにビデオやらん
like
よ
an advantage, right? They know that they can kind of deal with just about anything, whatever's thrown their way, they're able to deal with. So it'll be Falcons on defense, and they'll actually make the change here. So they'll play the Queen.
Always unbinnable, folks.
ビデオやるんだ
And they'll play a Widow. Interesting. So going to go from a big departure here for Falcons.
Quartz takes this every day of the week.
I mean, you feel good if you're Twisted Minds, right? And you get the option of like, hey, we're going to do a Quartz Widowmaker head-to-head. I think they would take that with any team.
Here we go, folks. King's Row. It's double match point here between Falcons and Twisted Minds. We get ourselves a good old-fashioned Widow throwdown out of the gates.
Double match point. That's a new one.
Right, that one?
Yeah, that's a good one. Did they win double the matches with this one, or is it
Oh,
just
the man.
Match point. All right, interesting. Stalker picked up really early though, quite after of all people. So now there's no threat on Quartz. He could really just roam around the map and try to find the best line. This has forced Falcons to fight in the shade, so to speak.
And they do a great job of protecting this Widow. You see Proper just trying to find an angle, maybe some pressure on the Quartz, but it is not that easy.
うーストーカーのビデオ信用ならねえではなって言おうとするけど瞬間にストーカー抜きやがった
Stalking here now wants to try and wrap and look for MCD. Juno's still a problem. Trying to deal with him. Eventually Quartz gets involved, even at what cost. He's overextended for that kill. And Proper cleans him up.
When Quartz got the kill, I was like, where is he? When he jumped out the window, I was like, yeah, that's not the spot that he wants to be.
さすがにコーツ変えてきた
Okay, so I thought TM may have actually gone with like an Ashe here, but they'll actually go with a Cassidy. They're going to play this a little bit slower.
Yeah.
Maybe not as worried about kind of the Widow, but like, okay, we get rid of that Genji, right, and just block the line of sight.
ちょっと出過ぎた
We're in a
な
good spot, but that's
ブリ
Bliss
ス
dropping right away.
And that's another pick off on Bliss early. For whatever reason, TVNT still wants to charge in and maybe look to extract some value here. But as the fight goes on, it's easy to Stalker to find these lines. And with MCD down, Twisted Minds definitely have to get out. They do get 87.1% on that first foray. The result of an early pick off on Stalker, but since then, things have been slow.
Yeah, and you know, the time here in King's Row, it seems just disappear at a faster rate sometimes, or you see a fight or two and then all of a sudden you're in last by territory. Intrasight here for Falcons, so this is going to slow down Twisted Minds for a little bit.
Oh my goodness, that is Phil Harpin with a great pace to end them all. Left to the
Stalker.
in the bloody air. That is beautiful.
And I also think TM probably didn't expect that to happen, right? Because the Infrasight's popped, you're just going to kind of play around the statue here. Maybe you know, you're not going to push. You're just going to wait. Ooh, that is a swap in the spawn, and now of course going to go back onto something else. So Sojourn here is trying to make a speedy push.
Yeah, revolving door pit scans. Here comes the proper blade though.
Going
takes him down. That's massive. Now with the orbital ray in play, Cage Fight's going to be popped down by TVNT, and Fielder's going to be caught inside Chio. No escape for him either. Twisted Minds will have their point. They made theirs as well.
Just that Widow swap off the spawn. Stalker just looking for something. Nothing he can really do, right? You know, just kind of Forge jumping around the corner. Fantastic shot.
回線弱者だから
I think they went the Arisa because there's Queen on the other side, and now that Hanbin is on the Maga, I assume, yeah, that's going to be a change back, right? So I think if they would have been the Queen, they would have won the Arisa to kind of counter it, but they're totally fine.
まさかキングスローでそこまでウィドウタイマーすると思わなかった。
Falcons that opted out of it here. Coming out of the gates with the Junker Queen. We still got some moments though, and a pretty solid defense overall for Falcons. Probably bought about 3 minutes off the clock there.
ストーカーをヒットスキャンにしてからどうなんだ。
A headshot no less. This guy, man, seamless transition online to land. He is hitting.
I'm telling you, there is not a team here that would be more happy to play a Widow Mirror than Twisted Minds. That's an early pick off there, and also like this is huge for Twisted Minds. カメラウィドウ抜きがちだから他のシーンで何が起きたのか全然わかんないんだよ。 You can hold on to the rally, use the rally for pretty much taking this second checkpoint.
And this is the important fight here. Stalker knows there's no escape for him there. Doesn't want to stagger himself out, but much rather respawn, come back. And it's going to be one last chance here for Falcons to stop.
さすがにストーカー変えないか。とか第3でウィドウタイマーがあるから変えねえんだ俺。
Just as Matt mentioned, the rally could be saved by Twisted Minds and a barrage. This is a great spot for Farah to get value from an off.
このストーカーのウィドウピックあれか。完全に交通ピックに返してんだな。
But here they come. Going to be a rally pop by Bliss now, but TVNT is so low and Proper gets in his face with a deflect. TVNT though still standing well enough. Hanbin those
ウルト差がきついか、ウルト差どうなるか、ウルト差どうなる。
Maybe waiting for Course to get back into the fight, but TVNT is going to turn tails. This has to be a disengage, and Lapter gets caught again.
まあ今のはウィドウ抜いてなくても勝ちだから負けてる。
And being able to push behind those, but the Widow pick there from Stalker is massive. You gotta feel, you know, when you watch these Widow head-to-heads, right? Quartz is looking at the same position. Stalker was pushing from Stalker with another headshot on the Quartz. And then as soon as Quartz looks away, Stalker just jumps right around the corner and rips his head off.
Time is ticking. Down to the 90-second mark now. Stalker has that infrasight available. And is going to look to make use of it here by just taking this off angle.
ストーカーのウィドウ悪くないんだよね。楽しいこのゲーム。このゲーム楽しいぞ。このレインボーシックスリージっていうゲーム楽しいぞ。
TVNT's cage got destroyed. Hanbin was actually aiming at it specifically. And Proper's close to get another blade. Twisted Minds had an opening. Maybe the blade in their face. MCD to the rescue. Proper has to respect Quartz as he drops on the Stalker got two of his own.
The kill from Hanbin onto Labda basically saves them from losing that fight. You
get
that early pickoff from Quartz, you push on in. TVNT, it's going to be a cage fight with a barrage, and you deal with that far early on. There's not enough damage for Twisted Minds at that point. They're not able to.
Still Infrasight in hand and now being saved for the final fight. Quartz doesn't have his to work with now, so a distinct advantage in the Widow battle. And he's a little bit lucky. Quartz a stay of execution perhaps now. Proper went for the blade, but TVNT is the only viable target for him. But Quartz is down. Stalker eventually gets
ストーカー抜くとき映さないしさ、抜かないとき映さ、なんとしてくれよ。
Without their Malga, without much chance here of getting to the next phase of the map, and Chio will double down to clean him up. Nice defense from Falcons.
Really strong
なんかオーバーウォッ
there.
チ1のマシでにめっちゃ思い出したわ。
That kill from Hanbin onto Lab is massive. I mean, you get that
あの
second
と
checkpoint there.
ザリアでひたすらエリア作って
Start to get that widow around the
微動
corner,
半
right?
蔵で抜きまくるっていう
What happens
あのクソゲ
in
ー
that situation is, Hanbin
抜かれたらマーシーが蘇生してもう一回遊べるぞってひたすらやるネタ。
Put us into that Malga mirror. Stalker was more than happy to take the Widow head to head. God, it makes the game so much more volatile when you have a Widow matchup headlining things.
でこれクォーツまたウィドウ出す。
Ultimately doesn't have infrasight for that last fight. Proper Stalker rather holds onto it for so long. Saves it for the perfect occasion to get his opposite number out of the game.
さすがにウィドウ来ないよな。
And this is a Twisted Minds map pick. They're trying to win the series on
で
this
ところ
one.
でストーカーも
That's
こ
part
れ
of the whole plan after they win
微動を見
control.
て微動じゃな
I
く
mean, I
て
think
変え
for
ると思うん
anything,
だよ
you
な。
just
ハンビン
nod
何
if
使
you
う
get taken to King's Row. You say, okay, well, we're familiar with this battlefield.
I think the defense here for Twisted Minds is a little bit harder as well because Falcons has shown, like, just for that brief moment, like, all right, we'll play the Queen or whatnot. So, like, for Twisted Minds, like, all right, we're going to come out and play the Maga. Falcons, there's a bunch of different responses they can potentially have to that. You can see them come out with the Queen if they feel like there's an advantage. The Maga, like, there's a load
さ
of
すがに
options
D1 は来ないと思うけど。
Just didn't think we'd be saying that in a metagame like this, Matt.
There might not be many other matches where we do say that.
Twisted Minds always looking to do it their own way. So far, it's got them to a match point. It's early Hanzo action there for Stalker.
初見さんどうも。
Pretty much same lineup here. Proper and Stalker Quartz comes out
基
on
本
the ash here.
的に解
Just
説や
running
って
into the
る
start
ア
of
キ
the
ロと
game,
申します。
Twisted Minds do a pretty good job of keeping Quartz safe on that
で
high
も
ground. Yeah. Against the Widow,
当
they
倍
got
速じゃ
hot
解
shot.
説できませんどうも。
Oy,
家級に行こう。
Okay, Queen time again.
Yeah, so it'll be the Queen swap here. They're going to keep that
ぜひ
widow
よ
in
ろ
the
しけ
mix,
れば
basically
他の動画で 0.25 倍速で解説しているので
switching out the
興
Queen.
味があればそちらの方よろしくお願いします。
How Twisted Minds, especially TBNT
今日はお
plays
酒飲みながら
around,
適当にオーバーウォッチ見てるだけで。
Mostly through the hotel, right? Twisted Minds doesn't want to take too much damage. Those Widow headshots can really turn a flag on its head pretty quickly. Harmon backs up here.
JQ はちょいちょい見たかこのメタで。
Even a cardiac overdrive used by TBNT, but Harmon has come back in, but they lose Stalker in the meantime.
They do a good job, even though they use the cardiac overdrive. It
どう
forces
なんだ
them to split like in the choke, right? So Hanbin has to rotate
や
all
っ
the
ぱ
way
り
out. They
LBBD7 の
feel like
腹がめ
okay,
んどく
once
さ
we
い。
get Hanbin out of the equation, now we have players separated here over by the statue, and you have the far right
こい
above
つ
it.
世界大会で活躍しすぎじゃね
That's a nice play there from Twisted Minds, able to close that gap.
Beautifully done by Lapta. Has had to be the one that goes after Stalker on a couple of occasions here.
とりあえず
Scary
フ
to do
ァ
it against
ラ
the Farah, but that extra mobility.
とセルエリアまでは押せたけ
You
ど
don't get
こっ
value
か
out
ら
of this widow. You got
ス
to
ト
think
ーカ
about
ー
it.
がどう仕事をするか。
Yeah, something maybe like Ash for AoE potential. Okay, big push here. MCD trying to double back and keep caught standing. The
ちょっとシルダー出過ぎたか
defense
俺。
for the Ash. The fielder goes down.
Yeah, you know, we were talking about it. It's going to be an orbital right here from Chio.
Okay, TBNT, the only one actually affected by that anti-heal. And Chio's going to be
ランページ
brought down by
入ってる
Quartz
か。
after the fact.
いいランページ入
This
っ
is
た
gonna be worth
な
it. It looks like Falcons are going to turn it into a fight win despite MCD going for a late orbital raid.
やっぱ
Twisted Minds are not
ヒー
in
ル
a
阻害って
position to
強すぎだわ
benefit
このゲーム。
I mean, if you got proper, right? I mean, every fight is winnable there as he kind of dashes, cuts up through three players. It's actually Hanbin with the Queen ult, right? That kind of hits a few with the anti, and then they follow it up with the
ライ
orbital
フウィーバー
raid.
も
So
ヒール阻害
Falcons,
入れられたら
nice
強
job
く
there
ね。
on offense. See if they can kind of keep it going here through this choke.
もうエレベーターをさ踏んだやつヒール阻害にする結構強いと思うんだけどトラップ的な。味方はアナのビンみたいに踏んだ味方にはヒール上げてキリコがいない時の阻害の安心感。いや本当にウイストか。あまあ一回引くでしょ。一回引いてからでしょ。リセット。
And the Widow's going to be less effective here, right?
あいいとこにいる。
Just at this part of the map, Robber in a really difficult spot gets the Mega.
これコート借りたいな。
Hit here.
あいいヒール入っ
Hit
た
on。MCD there in the choke, and they somehow able to keep
Huh?
Robber alive.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to back up here on this if you're Twisted Minds.
Yeah.
There's no fight to be had, and you've got to cross this
Ah,
fight
that's-
line.
Oh.
Quartz gets through, Stalker denied.
どうかカメラに映って抜けないんだよこいつ。カメラに抜かれてないとかめっちゃ抜くんだよ。
Checkpoint here for Twisted Minds on King's Road. Falcons have a lot of time to work this. Got a rally parity here into this next fight.
ああモンスターモンスターのマウが結構強いよなあれな。
Here's the bomb first. Quartz going to throw that out. That's pop proper.
強引に守れるからなああいうの。
But it's disengaged from Falcons away from Bob's damage. Proper never wants to give Quartz free reign here, and it's going to be TVNT here with a stop. In fact, Fielder might have
ああ、ストが怖い。カメラに映ってるけど、抜けはい、ランページ。
TVNT bleeding out. Bliss can't do too much. Twisted Minds exsanguinated in front of the box to victory. And Team Falcons are going to slot this one home, folks. A little bit of a rough start to the series for them, but now on Kings Row, they were more than happy to take it here. And there you have it. Falcons start on the right foot.
まあ逆にコントロールどうやって一本取ったか気になるよな。三沢達香がプレミア公開。
Pretty good performance from Twisted Minds. I think if you're a TM fan, you feel pretty good now going into the lower bracket.
これメンバーシップ入ってるの誰だっけな。ライフ先生とポケソルとミサオか。俺のメンバーシップに入ってくれてる17人すげえ感謝してる。めちゃくちゃありがたいんだよ。最近更新できてない。
These veterans like Falcons have for years. I mean, like 4 or 5 years. Some of these guys, like, they come onto a map and they say, hey, we can flex into a jump for Queen Con. We brought Harmon in for just that reason. We can match your hit scan. Stalker's an incredible hit scan player.
あと宣伝だけど、あさってか。あさってバレルのファンに行くんですけど、その様子をできるだけ撮影してメンバーシップにあげる予定なのでよろしければと。
But a lot of the murmurings have been in the lead up to this tournament that the Asia region is still the region to watch. They're still the strongest and much of the consternation.
290円なんで、その映像を見るのも290円。他にも動画あるし、一応コーチングとかも募集してるので。まだメンバーシップのあれか。ファンミの撮影ってもそこまで撮影できないけど。
Thank you very much. Yeah, I am joined by Stalker from Team Falcons, coming out from a great win against Twisted Minds.
まあどこまで撮影できるかわかんないけど。バレルに行ったら気持ちそう。確かに。あ、でもバレルのマネージャーには認識されてるから。フォローしてるし、フォローされてるし、動画見られてるし、DM したし。
변수가 많이 나기도 했는데 상대 조합에 대한 대책을 저희가 좀 잘못 생각한 것 같습니다.
I think it really came down to we didn't really expect what the other team were
マネージャーさんは面白いんで見てますわらとか。一応選手の人格とかは否定してないんで、まあ競技シーンの技術的な部分は全然いいと思いますし、選手はそれぐらいじゃメンタルに来てないんで、どんどん上げてくださいとは言われてるから。まあちょっとその辺の人格否定とかはしないようにして、動画はこれからも作っていく予定だけど。
상대가 히트 스캔 쓰니까 저희도 히트 스캔 쓰자는 마인드고 이제 게임하니까
네,
동등한
이때
조건이어서
약발이
쉽게 이긴 것 같습니다.
日本純正チームは応援したい部分はこれもあるからね。やっぱバレルが日本一取んないと面白くねえんだよな。でその上で韓国に勝てないっていうのはしょうがないにしても、パシフィックのプレード e スポーツあたりに勝ってくれないと面白くねえんだよな。
That is sweating a little bit. I did not have that on my OWCS World Finals bingo card.
No one did.
Twisted Minds is yeah, all the Preds in shambles already. First match into the dumpster.
Huge upset.
Huge upset. No, but like they did exactly. It doesn't matter though. That is a proof of concept for them. They did run out with that Farah not considered meta. We didn't expect to see much of that. We were wondering what they will be rolling out.
あと投票の結果的に右目に赤、左目に紫のカラコンして参加するんで。 髪の毛にメッシュ入った目が変なやつがいたら、まあ現地にいる方はぜひ声をかけてください。当日は池袋なんで。
That being said, right, we talked about Falcons' ability to adapt, ability to respond throughout a long series. This map too, round 2 of Control, they tried to adapt, but I really feel Quartz really came alive here.
池袋は迷子の
Yeah, I mean, there's a small
ちょっと
window
迷子
like
回
at
って
the
くる
start
か
of
も
the
しれない
fight
先に
where the enemy team is approaching and they're trying to reach the Farah, right? And we saw several times on the first map that Quartz was able to find picks,
そうなんだ。
Lambda was able to
ワール
find
ドカップで
picks,
フランス代表に
as
勝っ
Falcons
た
was
んだ
kind
よ
of entering and trying to take some space, right? Stalker wasn't necessarily set up on the
あの
flanks already,
FD がい
putting
る
pressure
フラン
on
スに勝
Lambda.
ってんだ
And
か
so
ら
there's
さ
a small
やっぱり
window
面白い
there,
部分
but
ある
it's
んだよね
purely a spacing issue. And we saw Jake.
日本面白いぞって思っ
City
たんだよ
and Kings Row, those are maps that are way more difficult for Twisted Minds to establish that kind of position and make use of the poke.
Yeah, I mean, positionally,
By
I
the high
don't
ball
hate the idea of
is-
this comp, but I think the pace increase that came, especially when
これも溶けて
Hanbin
るし
comes into the server, I mean, the Junker Queen was a huge part of it, but even before Junker Queen came out, right, even on New Junk City playing the Mauga, Hanbin was bringing a much faster pace to the team, and I think that's exactly what Falcons needed. You know, once Quartz and Lambda had the pressure on them, and on top of that, your match MVP Stalker, I mean, winning the Widow duel pretty convincingly against Quartz. Quartz did find a few kills on him, but I felt Stalker was pretty dominant in a Widow duel, which really
マジでフランスに勝ったってジャイアントキリングすぎな
really
んだ
your best hope as Twisted Minds in beating anybody is forcing a Widow Mirror, forcing this pure 1v1. And yet it was really Stalker who impressed me the most on the hit scan roll of this server,
俺と
showing
して
the
は
versatility across the squad.
Yeah,
一番大事なのはこの試合
this entire
全
year,
部
right?
を
Disgusting.
I mean, it's absurd, right? You think you have an upper hand, you think you have a favorable duel if you're Twisted Minds, and then Stalker does this, right? And I mean,
リプレイ
they have
コー
both
ドを
players can do this, right?
どれぐらい上げてくれるか
As well, just a spectacular performance. Stalker is going to be a pivotal player for Falcons as well. As this
でも
tournament
残念ながら
progresses,
これ
he's going to be one of those players we'll look at that could
10
help
月
Falcons
30
across
日
the
まで
finish
の
line
ベタとか
and
なんか
maybe
言われ
secure
てる
the
からさ
trophy. So great start from Stalker here.
リプレイ
in
コ
the
ード
last
見
two
られて
matches
んだよ
to secure the win against Twisted Minds.
And I love to see those
リ
kind
プ
of
レイ
differences
コー
as
ド
well
を
from
見
the
られる
Falcons. That Queen thrown in
ゲ
the
ー
mix.
ム
We're
を
wondering
3000円
where
5000
else
円
teams can
1
take
万円
it
払う
in
から
this
見せて
meta.
ほしいん
So
だよ
don't just see that Morga and that Queen looked really, really solid.
俺はそれで
Perhaps
1万円
against
払った
those
ら
greedy
1万円バックが来
compositions,
るから
right,
さ
Jake? And now we're taking a quick look
そう
at
いう
that bracket to see
YouTuber だか
where
ら
we're
さ
standing after that very first match. Once again, a reminder: the first 4 matches here in our upper bracket
SSG
will be
対
played
NVMR
first
結
to
構面白いんだ
2.
よな
After that, everything will continue in the first to 3, and then of course the grand finals will be
まあ
going
今日一番面白いのは
all
トロント
the
対エ
way.
ンスなんだけど
Now, with that, Team Falcons continue their run.
NTMR は割と普通に戦ってくるのは来るんだけ
Any
ど
final thoughts after seeing that first match?
Well, how have you not
まあ
mentioned
それ
that
で
we
も
actually
トロン
got
トに
beat
3
out
対
on
2
the
で
desk here?
食らついてるんだね食らいついてるんだ
Okay,
ね
well, I'm just
面白い
Walk
チ
us
ー
through
ム
it. Walk us through it.
Okay, well,
Be our guide.
Please,
I'm grabbing a cinnamon bun. I'm just saying, all right? You can take your pick. You
No
know, we
pan,
got some
muscle.
sugar here, some saffron buns. So,
They go
but
right
take
here.
your pick here, Jake. Take your pick here. Zoe, do you want me to pass you one?
Throw it over. What are we looking
Look
at?
at this marvel. What a time to be
みんなが
alive,
メンバー
guys.
シ
Oh,
ッ
look
プ
at you. Oh my.
NTMR は韓国
What's
人い
the
ない
most
チームだね
Swedish
韓国
thing
人い
of it?
ない
Pick any.
Annie. Okay, well, I just
Thank
put
you.
it
Zina,
right in
what's
there.
it?
Thank you. All right. And as we're enjoying our little fika here on the desk, we just do a quick break and give everyone some time to grab their own fika.
アメリカ人だけだ
perhaps.
けど
Then
そんな
we're
こ
back
と
with
ない
our second match of the day. Don't go anywhere.
Great stuff.
PR はこの大会メタに抽出されるからなると思うけどな CR はクレイジーラクーンはもう基本メタをがバッチリ決めてくるチームだと俺は思ってるから、まあ、エコリーパーをしっかり決めてくんじゃないかなっていうふうには思ってはいる。まあ、ただリップのリーパーちょっともったいない気もするんだよな。だからなんかフィンが言ってたらしいけどソンブラ出すっていうのはあるかもしんない。俺はよくフィンの配信見てないから分かんないけどリップがソンブラっていう選択肢は可能性あると思うんだよね。まあ一部マップになるかもしんないんだけど。フィンが言ってたらしい。俺はまあオーロラカップとなんだっけ大学がやるやつ NA のあれで特にソンブラは出てないからよくわかんないんだけど、まあ、プロが言ってるんだからそれ説としてあると思うよ。 まあ、割とこれクォーツね PA の食らいついたよな。1本取ったのすげえよな。オフメタで1本取れるって結構すごいんだよな。正直な話するよ。正直な話すると、2セット前に1本取ったじゃん。動画のネタになるのよ。はっきり言っちゃいけないかもしれないけどさ、そう動画のネタになるのね、これ。どうやって2セットマインズがマップをどうしたのかみたいな動画にするとさ、ファルコンズ負けてるしさ、話題になるのよ。こうやってファルコンズ負けたんだみたいなネタにできんのね。その分俺も編集に時間はかかるんだけど、2000再生ぐらい望めるんだよね。マウが今日から前で幸いです。マウがオリーさんを頑張って抑えたのが。そうだね。いやー、マジで基本的にオリーサ出てたんだよね、このメタ。だからまさかマウが出てくるとは思ってなかったんだけど、どうなんだろうね。そう、めちゃめちゃいいネタになるんだよ、これね。ハイペース稼ぎそうだよ。
I gotta admit, the food has been so on point in Sweden.
I kid you not, it was so funny yesterday at breakfast. We had breakfast in the morning, and Danny is just loving the food here. And he gets a piece of bread, and he gets the marmalade, and he goes, "Wait, there's actually real orange in the marmalade?" And I'm like, "What are you doing back home in America, man? Like, there's no orange in the actual marmalade." He thought I was fake, so he was happy to have real orange.
Yeah, some good liver paste and everything. Like,
ショックの方がいいか。クレイジーラクーン対ショックの試合なんてさ、対戦数稼げねえのよ。どうせ 2-0 ってだから。
Maybe we'll have next year's finals in Switzerland.
どうせ 2-0 3-0 で終わるからさ。何にも面白くないんだよ。
I support it.
Yeah.
That mercy is a hint.
特殊な構成して1本取るとかやってくれると稼げるんだけど、普通の構成同士で強いやつと弱いやつが当たって強いやつが勝つって当たり前すぎてさ。
Ready to punch upward there. So let's talk about the two teams we're about to see. It's going to be Crazy Raccoon going up against Energy Shock. Now, we're diving a bit deeper into those rosters. Crazy Raccoon, I mean, everyone knows those players. They are on the top of their game time and time again. Just had a minor slip-up somewhere in between this year, but overall, they've been dominant.
I mean, I think this is a team that's had this unique mix of veterans with like tens of years of experience together. Think about players like Chorong and Shu in the back line, like Lip on hit scan. But then they've also brought in just an incredible burst of talent of motivated rookies. Max and Junbin didn't have the best first year of their professional careers, but here in year two, they found their footing. The veterans around them have really lifted them up and allowed them to show why they were such hot prospects in the first place. And then I think has also had definitely his best year yet as a professional player. So it's a team that really elevated each other as they built this synergy throughout the year. And now, I mean, it's in a tough position to be where anything less than a first place isn't disappointment for Crazy Raccoon. For the fans, for the players on this team, that's the standard they've set with their ridiculous run of performance.
Absolutely. Now if we're looking at the opposition here, Energy Shock, a very exciting roster. We were so excited coming into this year of OWCS. And overall, they had a successful year. Although we do have to say, if we're looking at stage 4, they probably placed a lot lower than they would have hoped for.
Yeah, I mean, they qualified for Stockholm on the back of a good year for this team overall. I mean, this is a team that came into this year as students of the game. They weren't even part of the organization, but they fought real hard. They clawed themselves through these tournaments. They qualified for Dallas, now qualified for Stockholm. But like you said, Zoe, stage 4 was a real disappointment for Energy Shock. They placed 5th in their own region in North America after taking 2 losses to Fluffy Dreamland. So now you go into the playoffs here a month later, and you have to rediscover some sense of form, right? You have to find a win condition, something that works for this team. And I believe they can find it. They have the individual talent. Ultraviolet has been spectacular in the backline, but Tree is the real North American prodigy for this team. Just 17 years old, of course. and he needs to come up big time, especially against a team like Crazy Raccoon.
10メーターで ステージ4で
What do
6
you
歩だ
even
ったもん
do?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, guys, it's great. We'll go to Clash or Flashpoint with, they only win 2/3 of those maps. That's their weakest
ボロ
mode.
ボロだ
Oh,
ったけ
great.
ど
It's awesome.
シーズンステージ1ステージ2で防いだ貯金でなんとかここまで来たみたいなこんな感じのチームだから普通に考えてクレイジーラックにかなうはずないんだよ。
Yeah, I think it has for NRG. It has to be something similar to Twisted Minds, not playing the poke composition, but bringing like a special flavor, right? If you just come out and you play the Maga composition pretty straight up with like a Reaper and an Echo, I
ロード
truly
ポ
do
ッ
think
ク、
that
ジャン
Crazy
クラッ
Raccoon,
ト、
they will have
暗
the
蔵、
advantage. But
ラ
if
イフウィー
NRG,
バーみ
they
たいな
can
構成
play
で
to
も
their own strengths. We've seen
勝てると思うんだよね。
incredible pop-off moments from PG, for example. But again, Tree, I think Tree is going to be the player to
どの
watch
ぐらい
for
力
NRG
の
in
差あ
this
る
series. What can NRG do against, such a solid opponent like Crazy Raccoon?
またピー弾
こうこれマイク入るんだよ。ごめんねうるさかったら。
Fans, I'm Jake. I am here with NRG Shock, and we're about to rock a build-off. We're here in the land of flat pack furniture, so it's time to test these guys.
ちゃんと英語
see what
勉強
they've
しときゃ
got
な
when
っ
it
て
comes
すごい
to
思うよね。
actually putting a piece together, test the team play. How you guys feeling? Are we confident?
I've been scouting it this entire time. I'm so ready.
I'm ready.
All right, Cal's ready. Rack's ready. PG, how you feeling?
I'm feeling, I'm good about it. I got it.
This is the least confident.
奥メタ構成してきたからミラー
I
で
got us. I got us.
分からせ
All
て
right,
過
all
ごさ
right,
せ
all right. So,
悲しい
shall we
な
get it underway, guys?
Let's get it going.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
All right.
きっと連動の低い構成でもボッコボコにやるんだろうな。
So, PGE, tell me, NRG Shock may be seen as underdogs coming to this event. Does that underdog position, does it motivate you or does it put the pressure on you? How does that feel?
Being the underdog, no one has expectations of how you perform at all or anything like that. So I think it's definitely an advantage for us. And I think a lot of teams will be very surprised at how we perform against them.
めちゃめちゃバイパー活躍できそうだね。
Tell me about the preparation between the end of stage 4 and now, preparing for Stockholm for the OWCS World Finals.
いうかバイパー活躍してた
What's
し
that
ね
been。like?
Well, I mean, we
あれ
did
で
boot camped in
World
UK.
Cup で。
It was a lot of fun. Right now, I mean,
めちゃめちゃ強かったよ、バ
really
イパー。
fun. Stage 4, I just don't think it was our meta. I mean, our tanks were on ping. Super
ワ
hard
ン
to
スアゲイン
do.
は本
Like,
当
just
に
being
どうなんだろ
nicely
う、レン
close
クサイで
together.
勝ってたのかな。
Good connection.
You think that's going to play out as far as like in the
俺
tournament, being able to play on
なん
land,
て言えばいい
having
の
had the boot camp?
あいつはなんて言えばいい
That'll
の
be a difference maker for
ま
you
ず
guys coming into this
Yeah,
tournament.
I think definitely like
エル
having
ネアス
that
って言えばいいの
good
か、
connection,
イベルタルっていう
like
のか、ミュウって言えばいいの
just
か。
the
とりあ
physical
えず
connection and
ポケモン
also
オタ
being
クが
an underdog because we
ちゃんと
did
ブリギってやったら
flop
変わってるの
stage
か
4,
Yeah.
so no one really expects us to be
な。
there.
新タンクお披露目会あるらしいね。そうそうそ
No
う。
one expects us to win.
The Korean teams were dominant at Dallas.
ちょっと楽しみではあるけ
Absolutely
ど。
running the table. How do you see those, world elite teams, Crazy Raccoon,
で
Team
も
Falcons?
なんていうのかな
how you coming here to
メ
the
タ破壊
OWCS
するとしたら
Oh man, it's looking dark over
No,
there.
you got this. You got this.
I think the Korean teams at the top.
結
I
局
think
オ
we're
ーバーウォ
definitely,
ッチ
all
っ
regions
て
are definitely close
足の速いやつが無双するゲームだからさ。
With the recent scrims and recent meta changes, I think EU and NA are way closer to Korea
ロードホックって足が
than
遅いからダメなん
before in
だよ。
Dallas. Dallas, I think they were very dominant in that meta.
でオーリーサはジャベリンスピンが足速くなることに成功したからなんとかなったし。
Thank you guys so much.
最近シグマが出てこねえの足遅いからなんだよ。
Coming into the OWCS
今
World
足が
Finals.
速いやつし
Excited
か
to see if you
オーバーウォッチ出てこないんだよ。
shock the world. Get that crossbar in, boys. I'm gonna have to sit on this thing.
新しいタンクが
No crossbar.
足速いのか。
Okay. Mid
Physics.
commitment.
Physics.
Physics.
足速くなくてもめちゃめちゃ硬いのかみたいな
I promise you'll be able to sit
こ
on
と
it.
しないと
I'd sit on that.
活躍しないんだよね。
You put all your weight on
I'm good.
Oh, come on. Just me? Just me clapping?
Well
Just
done.
me?
Well
NA
done.
finals.
少な少なくとも
Good hustle out there, guys.
シグマより硬くなきゃいけないんだよね。
Still got cheated though.
All right, beautiful. All right, you guys. We'll see you next time.
シグマより硬いって相当だよなって思うよね。
That's energy shock. Love the confidence. That was a good division of labor there. Smart.
岩で止めて吸収で
interview even in the
帰って
media activity.
バリアの
So,
700あっ
props
て
to them, props to NRG. And
あ
I
い
like
つより
that they could
硬い
own,
想像で
yes,
きないんだよな。
the season in stage 4 didn't really go how they wanted it to, but kind of the balls in their
まああ
court
と
now,
ライン
right?
入
You
るから
got
ね。
players like Attack and Kellen have had time to integrate with the team. They're off ping, they're playing on
もう
land.
ライ
They've
ン
had
入
a
ると
boot camp
縦より
together. So I
低い
really
やつ
think
が
this
存在
could
しない
be
よ。
the best iteration of NRG we've seen all year, and to be honest, it couldn't come at a better time because this is the moment that the fans are going to remember, right? This is you're playing for all the marbles. Your placement here is going to kind of define this entire season. So it's the opportunity to recover
だから逆に
but also, you know, you are going
競
up
技
against
シーンで
Crazy
ザリア
Raccoon
が
in
出
the
てき
first
たの
round.
すご
It
く
is
面
a
白い
really rough draw for NRG.
動画にしたけど
Yeah, like Rack Attack said, right? Stage 4, it wasn't a great meta for a team like NRG, and now you come into the playoffs though, and
あ、日本やべえ3対2まで追いつかれてる 大丈夫
Juno break kind of composition, right? How is that going to work into NRG's favor?
3対2じゃん
Stabilize somewhat? Does having both your tanks with you on land, is that going to help you enough, right? Or are we going to see something different from this team? I think there are some questions surrounding NRG and what they'll bring to the table at this playoffs. But considering the caliber of their individual players, I'm really looking forward to see what we can see from them. And if they've been able to find a win condition that maybe can propel them towards some wins in this tournament.
Would a map win be a surprise to you, or do you expect them to maybe sneak one out there?
You know, I wouldn't be shocked. I think if they can
大
bring
谷
some
相手の
heat
デコ
and
ピンが
like
立つ
maybe
そう
put Crazy Raccoon in the back foot, if Falcons can lose
絶
the map,
対
then
デ
so
コ
can
ピン
Crazy
大谷
Raccoon.
のこと
But at
嫌
the
いだ
same
よ
time, I do think NRG
ま
are
だ
a
ミステリ
really
ー
serious
ガストやってん
underdog going up against one of the very best teams in the world, Crazy Raccoon. I mean, frankly, Crazy Raccoon and Falcons, everybody is an underdog when they go up against them.
I mean,
so you got to be
攻撃か守り
expecting
か
this.
できない
NRG,
タ
they've
ンク
known
に
this matchup for
人
weeks.
権
They
をそ
have to be prepared.
I feel like we have to
そうなんだよ
contextualize that
ね
as well, because if I recall correctly in Dallas, the Korean teams didn't drop a single map.
できれば D1 に人権与えたいんだよ
Or
ね
the European
個
teams.
人的に
And
こ
so
れも
Twisted
発想で
Minds,
す
you know, they got a map for Europe, which is the first time this year that you know, a European team has taken a map of a Korean team, right? In the OWCS tournaments. So I'm just excited. Twisted Minds got a map. Can NRG do the same? Maybe.
Which are the teams in this tournament? Do you feel like the competition has gotten like tighter? Is it closer now, just based on what we've seen in the individual region? Obviously, we haven't seen that cross-region play recently. So, where do you think they stack up against region-wise?
I mean, I think that's the question on everyone's mind, right? With the,
ちな
with
み
the
に明
regions
日
being
6時起きなんだよ
separated,
ね
this is the first time, well, since Dallas, that we've got to see the regions clash.
まあ俺にとっては
And of
6時
course,
起きっ
you
て
know,
超
for the
楽
NA
だけど
players, of course, they're going to come to the tournament and believe that, you know, they can do well. But you got to remember, North America kind of flopped at Dallas. It was, you know, Korea on top with a bullet, not dropping a single map. But then the EMEA teams placed solidly above their North American counterparts. So I think for all the teams coming out of North
皆
America,
さん分かっ
coming
て
here
ると思う
to
けど
Stockholm as well, they kind of have a chip on their
わ
shoulder.
し
Right?
4
They've
時
got a
起き
lot
で
to
編
prove.
集
They
して
want to show that
7時
they
とか
still
8
want
時
it,
と
but
か
they
に
still
動画
have
上
the
げてるから
motivation and the passion really
健
to
康な時
compete
は
at this world level.
調子悪い時はねもう薬めっちゃ効いて9時10時に起きてるから
今
日みたいな感じでもう動画上がんないんだよね
forcibly take that map win, but very much easier said than done.
If you listen to some of the European or North American teams as well, I mean, they're kind of like thanking themselves for this Mauga meta because it does neutralize the field a little bit. Had we been in a position where the Korean teams were so strong at dive composition, if they can just force like Ilios, Gibraltar, like every series, like they have such a high
元気な日は4時に起きて1本動画作って昼飯食った後もう1本動画作って2本目を民主にするかしないかみたいなところではあるんだけど
North American European teams, they're like feeling themselves a little bit like, yeah, like this is more up our alley. We can play these brawl styles. We can trade these abilities. Maybe it works in our favor a little
最
bit.
近午前中潰れすぎて午後1本上げても練習にやる時間がないんだよね
They feel like they have a good chance going into this
だから困っ
tournament
てんだよね
to take some map off the Korean teams and even make it really far deep into the tournament.
Yeah, we have a bunch of teams in this tournament, of course, that have a very clear team identity, regardless of what meta we're seeing. If we're looking at Raccoon, as well as, of course, the opposition here in Energy Shock. What's the team
お金を
identity
払っ
here,
てくれ
starting
て
with
る
the
人
Shock?
に
I
それ
mean,
な
with
りの
NRG
コンテン
Shock,
ツを
I
用
do
意し
feel
なきゃい
like
けない
they
っ
would
て
probably
思っ
want
て
to
るから
be in a meta that allows Kellan to shine in that individual tank role. Because I think we've seen, especially in stage 4, they struggle to kind of find out, are we going to play Kellan, or are we going to play attack? And they swap between those two tanks in between the
300 円だから安いよとか
But
じゃない
you
んだよ
want your tank to be on a solid pick because that sets up the rest of your team. PG, Scissors, Tree, to enable them to really flourish. I think Ultraviolet, he would have preferred to be like a Batiste and a Kiriko kind of meta, but instead you're here in Juno Brig. So I think for NRG, their playstyle probably isn't going to favor this kind of like Mauga meta, but if you can set up, you know, a few of your players for individual success, like Tree, like PG, for example, I think that could be a win condition for NRG.
You know, I think the high pace of this meta with the Mauga style, right? Like, look at other traditional rush comps like a Rhine and a Mei. There's a lot of emphasis on individual players hitting their skills, opening up the initiation as well as possible. But the Mauga meta, although it's also a rush and a brawl style, really, I think it's more about team coordination and just, you know, playing off the moment-to-moment strength and weakness of the team, right? You really have to have that read of how strong you and your teammates are. You know, when you need to get aggressive, everyone has to commit to that.
俺のガッポさんのイメージはワンタンクウィストで頑張ってきてるから。
Things can fall apart really easily. It's much less about individual players executing their vision as much as it is, you know, the whole team being in a collective, having that one mind. And so that's going to be the true test that this meta asks of these teams. Like, do they have the ability to coordinate, the trust, especially in a high pressure environment, you know, with the noise of the crowd, with the pressure of a LAN, with the world finals on the line? Will you still trust your teammates, right? Like, will that call come through when it needs to?
星見の源氏ってそんなエース級じゃなかったし。
Even for some of the best players in the world.
And we'll find out if they can make it happen
ガッ
after
ポさ
short
んのウィ
break
スト
from
すごか
the
ったけど
winner.
別に星見のガッポさんのウィンストンか。一押しっていつの一押し？今の一押しなのか昔の一押しなのか。今で言うと俺エンスがどこまで戦うかすごく楽しみなんだよね。まあ当然トロントは倒してくれると仮定した上でクレイジーラクーンはどうとしてファルコンズ今日の調子見てるとすげえ食らいついていきそうなんだよな。ちょっと回の出来にもよるんだけど間違いなくケビスタは仕上げてきてるからちょっと一番成績残してそうではあるんだよな。 SSG はわからん。本当に SSG はわからん。だから楽しみではあるけど勝つかどうかは知らん。今のメタでメインを出してくるのか出してこないのか。出ってこないんだろうな。リーパーメタだもんな。さすがにバックボーンリーパーやるわな。酒飲んで近いんでトイレ行ってきます。戻りました。
Hello and welcome back, friends. This is day number 1 of the OWCS World Finals here in beautiful Stockholm, Sweden. We have our very own suite here on the desk. So before we're heading into the action, which is clearly not ready yet, we're going to fill with fun facts about Sweden and Johnny.
Oh, please
what you got
do enlighten me, Zoe. What are the fun facts?
You tell me. I'm not Swedish. How would I know?
I just want to say the bread has been really on point. I don't know
bread?
That's European bread.
I didn't have like an expectation going in, but at breakfast, at dinner, just the bread has been great. It's been fantastic.
Low key, now that we're in Europe, I can say it. American bread, not so good. Europeans just
ショックが
Europeans just know how to
ワ
do
ンマップ
bread.
取れたら
I say that with every
あれだ
bite
わ
as I can master.
No, it's true. Like I gotta say, like as a now I have to admit it, having eaten delicious breakfast bread.
ワンマップ取ったら
The fika was on point.
The
You gotta
fika was
agree.
wonderful.
Then
I
they took it
love
away
the
from
idea of a little
Yeah, they took it
動
away.
画もう
coffee break, some
公
buns
開するわ
in
メンバーシッ
day
プじゃなくて
mid morning.
I was surprised they took the buns away because I was like, we have second fika coming up. So
they put it away and bring it back.
Get it on the schedule. Bring out the fika. Just keep it here.
you know, there's a morning fika and then there's an afternoon fika. So like, what do you?
I like this country more every day.
Yeah,
一番
see,
う
we
まい
have
メイン
at
サポート
Snuni and
誰なんだろう
Tsiri, where I come from, which is 9 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Is
Okay.
when we have our tea time.
So you have fika too in
We have
Switzerland.
fika tea in Switzerland. We call it.
って言われたところで
I'm
ミン
just
トの
amazed.
名前が
Like, I've
一
never
番
heard
出
of
てくるんだよね。
Switzerland fika.
Oh, I never heard of you fika either.
You never heard of fika?
No,
I
I'm
mean,
not. Well,
I
you know
feel like
what I heard though?
I feel like we're
I heard about
globally known.
drops.
Yeah, we do
We're
actually.
educating here. Now everyone knows about the Swedish and Swiss traditions of fika, snuni, tsviri, tea time, or whatever you want to call it. Wherever you are in the world, one thing's for sure, you
これ
can
前
earn
も言っ
drops
たけ
if
ど
you're watching.
ランクマッチ勝つにはフレックスサポートの方が簡単なんだよ。
Which is, you know, iconic in Sweden as well.
Yeah, tell me more
Made in
about
Dalarna.
で、日本ってこれまで競技シーンがなかったから
And it has
レートで勝てるフレックスサポートがいっぱいいるんだよね。
and like important facts to it.
レートで勝てない
So I do
武士を
recommend that if you wanna learn
振り
more
切
about
ってってあんまりいないんだよね。
Check that out. I'm not going to be able to tell you anything.
となると自動的にメインサポートいなくなるか
Give us
ら
that insight.
And why it's red. You know, I know I'm Swedish, but like I don't know.
人口
Does
が少ない
anyone
と。
who's Swedish actually know why it's red? I don't
で
know.
競
Maybe.
技シーンでやってるミントしかいないんだよ
Well,
ね。
we'll find out. We'll find out. That's right. We send a person to get the.
昔はその競技シーンがあったか
Now
ら
we're ready for our second match of the day. So let's send it over to Golden Boy on stage to get our teams out.
競技シーンをガチにすれば結構全体のレベル上がってくると思うんだよ。
And talking fika. I'm down with it
ビッグ
personally.
そのラインの経験で今ミントが一番上にいるから
Yes, yes, yes. See, no? Okay, maybe. You know, we'll figure it out later. In any case, though, what we're not going to be waiting for is some more Overwatch because we're going to be bringing out our two teams right here, right now. Let's go ahead and welcome our first squad to the stage. Put your hands together for Crazy Raccoon!
Crazy Raccoon, our reigning OWCS.
もうあの大きさでリップってわかるよね。でけえ。
Fantastic individual players to keep your eyes on. So many players capable of taking over the game.
絶対
over his team, of course.
野球やった方がいいだろ、
One of the best hit cam players we have in the entire game. Watch out for him in this series.
どうなんだろう運動神経クソなんだから
And let's go ahead and welcome to the stage their opponents. You know them. You love them. It's NRG
A fan favorite squad coming out of North America, ready to set the record straight on their season and their year. They may have had a tough stage 4, but they're looking to change the story coming in to the OWCS
言
World
うて
Finals.
ショックもアメリカのチームで今ストックホルムでやってるから微妙なラインではあるが
to the stations and let's go ahead and welcome your casters one more again. It's Uber and Mr. X.
Thank you very much, Golden Boy. Yes, this is
逆にやっぱ CR 応援しなくてよくねみたいなとこあるよ
coming up against the team with a very shaky stage 4 in the lead up to this event.
But NRG Shock seems to be like
e
the fan
スポーツ
favorite
ワールド
here.
カ
You know,
ップ
every
の
time Golden Boy is like
アルコンの応援され方すごかったよ
it's
ね
kind of crazy. So it'll be interesting a little bit how that plays into it. But they
そこ
go
は
up against Crazy Raccoon. I mean, they
ハ
have
ウジの
just
チーム
been
だから
insane all year long. I really think
CR
this
は日
backline
本
is
の応援はすごいだろうね
Absolutely, and this
日
team is
本チームだ
also,
から
I think they're perfectly positioned to succeed in this kind
そ
of
の辺
metagame.
含めてデータが上がってきたら一
Their
番
lineup in general,
人気だ
right?
ろう
Having the
ピン
option
がいる
to
から
tank as well, and your DPS are just pretty much out of this world. NRG Shock, they needed Nightmare to knock TSM out of stage 4 in that lower bracket in order to qualify. So their destiny wasn't really in their hands at all. They really had to bank on another team doing the job for them. But they put it behind them. They said, we're out here. They were out, I think, in the UK boot camp as well. They put the work in. They're ready here to show what NA can do.
Yeah, I mean, you get a boot camp here before, right? You know, maybe you're able to kind of practice being in the same room with your tanks, right? Obviously.
イリオスかイリオス一番面白くねえんだよな
But you're going up against such a difficult team here in Crazy Raccoon. Also, like
ボールあるね
the early quarterfinals.
イリオスは
That's like later in the day, right? We have those illusions.
90% 以上ボール出てくるんだよ
Even if you end up dropping this one, you still got to get composed, fight later in the
Yeah,
day.
you don't have like the overnight period as some teams who fall into the lower bracket do to come back to consolidate to
マグだってボール出した
So if things don't go right here, you are straight back
ユ
in
ン
the
ビンが
dugout.
出さないわけないよ
Overviewing it. You were trying to fix things quickly. Otherwise, you're running to the end of your Overwatch year, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, you lose those matches.
マジ
you
ユ
got
ン
a lot
ビ
of
ン意味
time
わかんね
for Stockholm. Here for a few more days.
You got the Old Town, right, Matt?
リーグの時からなんか
I saw Aaron
イリオス
Taylor
ずっと
this
ボールやっ
morning,
た
he
も
was
ん
like,
な
yeah, I went by the Old Town. I was like, I've been telling people for weeks.
Here it is, folks. NRG Shock versus Crazy
アウェルトブレイ
Raccoon.
キ
Throw it
どう
down
ですか
for you.
まあね あいつがまともにブレギってやったら世界一だと思うんだよ。すげえうまいんだよ。
As much as I love to hear about the old town, man, and I do.
I didn't hear much outside the fact that it's
でもあいつ
I
自己満足イラリーキリコやるからさ。
You get fired, so I mean maybe you could sort of work something out there. But Ilios is going to be our first.
There's a
map.
better chance you're hitting Old Town.
And it's first to two. Crazy Raccoon versus NRG Shock, and like we discussed, I mean, I've heard whispers as well that NRG Shocker felt like maybe that sort of standard Malga style doesn't suit them. But a map like this, you can play the dive comp, especially on well. So this might be a pretty good draw for NRG if they don't feel like they want to just spam that Malga-based composition.
But sure, play dive against
アイオレ
Crazy
ットが
Raccoon.
エゴイストすぎるんだ
I'm
よ
worried
な。
about that, right? I mean, they're tremendous on it.
だからあいつの穴は信用ならないんだよ。
Potentially an option here, and also ball
お、次リーパー出してくるか。そしたらそうトレーサ
Oh, okay, lip on the tracer as well. Oh man, knife is
ー。
out there like
お
bro.
ー、まあここは別に不思議ではないけど。
Okay. So again, because we're up against this dive composition, Crazy
もう
Raccoon,
準備
all that,
何してんだよ。
all the rack attack's already been taken down. Junbin,
量早すぎだろ。
here's going to be a problem to
な
deal
んだよ
with.
その
NRG Shock done a great ways of
あれぐらい
answering
は
this.
やり方がわかんねえ
Three
よ。
won't be able to get like a one-on-one against this ball ever, really.
It's brutal positioning from the Shock early on, though, right? You kind of take
なん
control
で
of
キル
that
が起きてんの
lighthouse on the side, and you're playing right in. You know,
意
the
味
ball
わ
can
かん
run
ねえ。
around
意味
in
わ
there,
かん
you
ね
know,
え。
cause chaos, bio grenades, the
こい
far
つ
rockets,
全部
and
こういう戦うんじゃね
get picked. It just happened to be rack attack.
And if there's any player that's going to try and play the ball, it's either Infected of Nightmare or Junbin here on Crazy Raccoon. They are more than happy. Again, this is such a scary team because Shu can pick up the Ana. You have this Ana Lucio composition. Shu can really demonstrate his individual prowess at that role. And the Shock already down by 20%. They are looking to group up, and Trees just switched over to the
だ
Echo
ってショ
chip.
ックだって結構
See
いい
if
メ
you
ンツ
put
だ
a
よ。
little bit more pressure on the ball.
映画は
right?
結構いる
Get the
もん。
ball a little bit weak, get that armor up, then
伊
you
賀
can
2、
start
3
to
人い
rock
る
the
チ
point.
ームなのに
Here, just pops down
こ
the
んな
well,
ボコボコに
breaks
や
that
れるかって
for a time keep. And NRG Shock are no closer to actually capturing the points here. Crazy Raccoon, Junbin giving those shields out there. That adaptive plating now can be thrown out to your teammates. Tree obviously something that Junbin can really interact with for most of the game, but we're close to barrage. Lip also with a pulse bomb ready to go, and Tree eventually got brought down.
何が起きてんの
They're just not able to collapse on any
何が
target.
起きてんの
Energy shock is that'll be the Kitsune rush there from UV.
だってもうウルトラバイオレット常さ上がってるからね。なんで
You're trying to like locate the target, like maybe it's the supports, right? But you're having to move in to the far rockets, and then I mean Chorong and Shu are just insane in terms of being able to keep each other alive. Very difficult to get either one of them out of the equation.
シュウにキャリーさせる顔して犠牲して稼ぐ。そう。この構成に関してはシュウが犠牲になるんだよね。もうなんで死ぬのこれ。なんで死んでんのなんでパレッチがパレッツボールが刺さんの何が起きてんのこのゲーム。なんで準備に黄色が流れるのそれ。
Early on, I mean, you got a minefield here you can use here over in the choke as
なんでチョウ倒してんの
doesn't end up getting it. Choron, he's just by himself there.
He gets out alive as well, by the way, which is maybe even worse.
なんだよこのゲーム。
after a tracer switch, but NRG Shocker
わかんないわかんないわか
a
んない。
little bit rusty coming out of the gates.
The audience is such shock fans that like they don't want to like exactly clap super loud for Crazy Raccoon, but they're like I mean they're so
シルバー対グラマスみたいな試合してる。
Nation are just losing it right now. Every time
なんか釣り死んでるし。
they freak out. I know you're out there in the chat losing it. Okay, another map at least. This is obviously the go-to for NRG Shock in this kind of composition. Looks like we're staying with a Winston for now.
But in these kind of compositions, right? It feels like even with Energy Shock playing something that they probably feel comfortable, this is just even better for Crazy Raccoon, right? I mean, this is like a better, like they are probably so thrilled that somebody's willing to play dive.
Yeah, we don't have to play the map.
どうやって準備止めればいい
on this Ana, he's staying on the Farah. It must be incredible.
準備止めない限りフィーさん止まんねえぞ。
Here it is. He's saying had a fantastic first round, and that might be putting it lightly. He was so good.
今日はやめてこうだねこれ確かに。なんか相手にスパークをワンチャンあるワンチャンあるワンチャンあるワンチャンあるぞ。サバどうしたぞ。なんでヒーさんのリップキル出してんのこの状況で。なんでワンチャン見せてくんの。
Maybe here, Shock. It's an opportunity to take the point.
なんで返すのこの今のエンゲージ。サポート取られてんだよ。ポイント取らねえしさ。何してんの？準備ポイント取れよ。
And the bios. Yeah, you have to answer that because you don't have like a Baptiste or even an Ana in the back line to really interact with her whatsoever. He's run of the place. Choron goes down. Scissors at least able to get over towards the Lucio now, and Kellen is those pressure. But Lip has a pulse bomb. Respects Ultraviolet's of course and the ability to cleanse off that Tracer ult. It's thrown down, a attack is subjected to it. Ultraviolet's able to find a kunai kill still on the Tracer. Keeps it but they haven't flipped the point yet. This is just
heal backがない。ヒールバックがなかった。
Again gets the better of Scissors. That is dirty. Kellen goes over the edge.
And you know, getting a
これスマホです。
early on is always
これ
good.
残念ながらスマホです。
It almost feels like if you lose Chorong early on, it's not like the end of the world, right? I know if he had sound barrier, sure, right? But in that type of situation, you have
ブラマス対 AI の
provide some healing to the players on the low ground. He's saying is doing a nice job with the minefield on the point. This time he's saying pushes on up.
このジュンビンっていうやつ、
And they're able to get both supports.
僕の作った AI の動き方してます。
Bonafide camp going at the moment.
俺の作った最強レッキングボール。
Chu can throw that nano over. Maybe even a Heesang to give him a more durable barrage.
まあとりあえずこのマップは置いといて、次ショックのマップどうにかなるか。
Here's the barrage coming in. No, Nanabu's giving over to Heesang.
あった。割れてかした。ワンチャンワンチャンある。ワンチャンねえんだよなこれ。サウンドバレサウンドバレ。
He's playing for the high ground here. Katsuna Rush is now in play. Scissors draws a bead on Chorong but doesn't connect the pulse bomb.
もうワンチャンワンチャンワンチャンあるワンチャンある。キャラ取った。ああ。
He can't escape. There's a minefield thrown down and Scissors has no way of getting in. Crazy Raccoon slamming the door in the face of NRG Shock. And it's Kellen hoping for a remake here. Lips pulse bomb though finds Tree and the mini diva goes the way of the dodo.
Man, the ball just runs crazy over the Shock there. Junbin putting on a masterclass. They nanoed the ball there. That's something you really
どうやって勝てばいいんだこのチーム。
They nano the wrecking ball, get him on the point. He's able to pick up 2, then come up with a minefield and just complete destruction there.
The damage mitigation, plus of course, you know, wrecking ball thriving when surrounded by.
とりあえずクレイジーラックみんなハンデで左手でやれよ。
Shielding over to teammates. So again, we set up the story. We come in saying it's a Mauga meta, it's Reaper, Echo, Mauga, Brig, Juno, and then we get none of that at all.
キーボード右足でやろう
So
よ。
with another team like NRG Shock who don't really want to play that way, we kind of know that. Crazy Raccoon though are more than happy to do it any which way. They can play that Mauga set up here. Of course, you've got options of Junbin and Max at tank here.
もう仮にもショックの名前つけてんだから
Put
さ。
you on the Ana. And basically put
も
your
うちょい
team
強い
in a
チーム
paradise
作らなきゃダメだよ。
of matchups between players and heroes.
Yeah, I mean, even when you get like Chorong
That's
early, you
shock
still
だよ。
have to deal with Shu. He's so good at even
リ
protecting
ーグ最
himself.
強
And
の
then,
チームショックの名を
it
冠
doesn't
してる
even
わけだ
matter,
から
right?
さ
I。mean, the wrecking ball, the Tracer just running through your backline. It is nasty stuff.
Let's have a look over what was a very brief map here again.
クソ兵にも届かない。ヒーサーヒーサーヒーサー。
Sleep dart connecting on a Kellen. Lip didn't even have to use the pulse bomb. We saw them sitting at 5
He's done, he's
for
done,
quite some
he's
time.
done.
He's tanks barrages.
He's
Frankly,
done.
should be illegal.
ヒーサー。
Some of these were just absurd. Even a Suzy, there's not enough. UV gets caught inside the room. Multi-kill off the back of that one.
He's done.
But
Don't.
frankly, there's nothing in the
Don't.
composition for NRG Shock that answers this Farah.
Well, he's done,
Nothing
he's
that
done.
directly
He's done.
interacts with Heesang. Allows him to even play close up without a lot of threat.
I also feel like, you know, if your answer is like, oh, we're just going to like switch
アジア3チームだね。アジア4チームでいいと思うよ。
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of
4、2、2が多分ちょうどいいと思う。
You see the stats heavily
Yikes.
in favor of Crazy
グファンも
Raccoon.
ショッ
That
ク。
is
俺もショックなんだよこれ。
sure there.
あ
I
の
mean, just
メジャーの
you
時
can
さ
see the gameplay. I mean, you watch the first map.
上
You
の
knew it was going to be an ugly scorecard.
ラジだっけあれ脱いでショックのユニフォーム着た時瞬間めちゃめちゃ覚えたもん。ショック帰ってきたってなったもん。
A team who we knew
帰っ
would
て
be
きて
the
なかっ
underdog
た。
coming into a matchup like this, especially against a Crazy Raccoon that can kind of do it all right.
But Twisted Minds is the underdog against Falcons. Put up a good fight. So I think like we're the underdog, like we're supposed to get destroyed, like not really great argument, right? Like I think you want to see them put up a better fight.
So Matt, lay down the law. Turavasa is going to be our second map in this series. This is NRG Shock's pick here.
浦場さんはさすがにボール出てこないぞ。ワンチャンあるぞ。
it's not typically a map where you want to run Winston at every opportunity here. I've heard that maybe this team has dabbled a little bit with the Queen.
Well, there's no subs, so with no subs, you figure we're going to see something similar.
You won't see it, so you won't see attack. I think for
この
most of
感
this
じだ
tournament,
と
the meta
クレイ
really
ジーラークン
favors
勝っちゃうんだろう
Helen
な。
here.
もう優勝だろうな。
But again, on the other side of things, you have a lot of options for Crazy
ア
Raccoon.
ルコの勝ち目ない気が
with
するんだよ。
Servasa coming up, if you're Crazy Raccoon, you just keep playing.
相手がどうこう関係なく。
Maybe you consider switching, but I mean the ball looks so strong, and I know even with like a brawly style comps that want to like stay together, the ball even still puts up a pretty good fight. I know in that, like you mentioned, like we saw Infected and NA play it. I know on Busan a lot, right? We saw a lot of Wrecking Ball being played on that map in particular, where
石破総理大臣ぐらい言葉を失ってるよ。
See, Crazy Raccoon boot camped in Poland. They got prepared for the winter-esque wins pretty early
石破総理頑張ってほしいけどな。
it wasn't
ちょ
really
っと
about
外交で
the gameplay for them.
No, it's
It was
about getting
about the
outside.
climate, the climate.
Walking both
何の
ways
話して
in
る
the snow, you know, I mean, really, that's how Moon likes to get his
多分
troops
俺の
to
方角
really
フォロー
well.
してる
Very
人は
much the
めちゃめちゃ分かれる
disappointed
かもしれないけど
father figure. I heard the
俺
pros
政治大好きだからさ。
I'm sure they had some.
オーバーウォッチと政治とバンドルのアカウントとか
That meant that all of our teams here competing in the
だからあんまフォローしてほし
overseas
くない
grand finals, they were in Europe, so there was a lot of scrimming that went on. Crazy Raccoon in the past, I think, scrimmed a lot with Zeta Division back in their home region.
政治は思想出るからさ。
Commander Rex actually sort of says we couldn't get a scrim with Crazy Raccoon or Zeta because they were just scrimming each other all the time. So they've got obviously a lot of options with that kind of matchup.
あとバンドルに関してはみんなが主導してくれたお金で俺バンドル行ってるからさ。
Players get super like.
次のチケットを取れなかったけど。
Yeah, is it like the memory foam booty pad needs to be calibrated? Like I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, when we were doing COD, Krim was very about the air conditioner. He always felt that sometimes the air conditioner was strong.
まあどうせ準備強いんだろう
Never
な。
thought an American would just be
石破総理は早くうまかった。
Considering I walk into a Costco and it's like Arctic in there and it's like 50 degrees.
政治バンドリーオーバーウォッチのタイムライン見たすぎる。いいよフォローして。
You know what?
多分アキローで調べるどっかに出てくる。アキローアットマークオーバーウォッチ投手とか出てくるから。
NRG shock to try and stay alive in this first of two, so it could be a quick series if you can't find a foothold.
政治は相当右寄りだし、バンドリオタクだし。
Right, I know we typically see a lot of teams play like New York City really throughout the entirety of the year in the OWCS, but Servasa maybe a little bit of a wild card pick here for NRG shock. I don't know if you can play like even if you're not the best at the MAGA.
国民民主党ですら俺から見たら左だからね。でもあの人たち左だからね。どちらかというと。
It feels like you kind of playing the Winston is just kind of conceding into like what
あ
like
の人
you're
た
not
ちは
really forcing crazy
あれだ
to
と思うよ。
react too much of anything, right?
リベラルだと思う
It's。kind of map we've seen. Yeah, even like in the past, like a lot of teams even going for like Ryan Sigma comps here. The Queen, yeah, for Crazy Raccoon, I wouldn't rule it out.
And we'll get that flipped at the top of the screen.
Yeah, it's the
so,
shock, excuse me.
Currently the
なん
shock
か石破総理相当体調悪いみたいね。風とか以外も。
to potentially play Kellen on the Queen, which would be a bit of a change up. I think, look, if you can't play the MAGA, I think playing the Queen is a way better idea.
でまあこれリーパーリップだしとかあるでしょ。
NRG shock here. So it is Crazy Raccoon on
Three
match point
Ashes.
right now. And again, working on
19出てき
getting
ました
those names flipped for you up the top. It's orange is
あ
your
あそういう
NRG
オフ
shock
メタで戦うし
appropriately.
かないよな。
Crazy Raccoon are in blue. So let's see how Kellen makes use of this Junker Queen.
おう。
Again, the memory foam.
Tactical pause,
It's just not
a chair
foamy.
pause. So this is awesome because we're on the stage, so we have a great idea.
これショックがワンチャン掴むための
Shocker
ポーズだな。
players are currently looking over
相手の構成見るために。
Crazy Raccoon, so I would assume that Shocker fine.
Yeah. Although Raktak is talking to an admin, or maybe that's just Wheats.
サポートのスイッチね。俺もとてもそう思うんだよね。
What's going on here? But feels like I know it's Crazy Raccoon. So they're
ただ
going to
今
come
の
out
メ
here,
タだと
and they're going to be
ど
playing
うなんだろうっていう部分
MAGA-based
あるんだよ
right?
ね。
So they'll be playing the MAGA.
All right, let's see what Kellen can do here against the Malga. We've already seen, of course, Rampage, obviously very effective against Malga's cardiac overdrive, but there's got to be more to it here. You want to brawl, Queen definitely a great option here, but the poke damage can be problematic.
うわーリーパーいい位置取ってんなそれ。
NRG shock taking a ton of damage. The commanding shout now used, but Rack attack is
リ
very
ーパ
low.
ーにその位置取られるともう引くしかねえもんな。
Straight out of the map
リ
here.
ップうますぎだろ。
Stop to pick up the mega health pack. They're never getting rid of this Malga here. Kellen already bowled over. Junbin trying to avoid Scissors is focusing
なんで準備そんなヘルスなのに死なねえの。
Yeah, and this is what we expected to see a lot of teams play. What we're seeing
さすがに死ねよ準備それ。
You have the Echo Reaper in the mix with the Maga. The backline pretty stable across like multiple comps, right? At this point, where NRG Shock. Look, if you can't play the Maga, I think the Queen's probably the next best option. So I like the comp that they've decided on here. I think much better odds than playing like a Winston or a Dive type of mirror.
Crazy Raccoon just don't want to
今の
respect
3の位置
NRG
や
Shock
べえ
at
よ
all. They really want to close the gap and make it hard for Tree to get
あそこを
good
横
amounts of
取れる
damage over a longer fight.
もうタンクのラインが
Those
すごい。
cooldowns coming. Knife catch there on towards John Min, but he won't be joints too far forward. Just about that poke damage here for Kellen swinging the axe.
うわ今の避けるのか。
Here's an orbital ray coming in from Shu, and Choron gets healed up in a pinch. Tenaji forced to give a lot of ground here, but they have ultimates of their own and an orbital ray to make use of. But Rack has gone down just as he could have built a rally.
どんだけ危機管理できたんだよこいつ。
Can they flip inside this orbital ray? It's Heesang getting rid of Scissors despite him having a Juno ultimate to work with. And Heesang dupes this Queen and gets a free ultimate. Kellen will still be anti-healed after the transformation. That is pretty tough to beat.
10% ぐらいこれ入れ取れるか。
They're going to get a little bit of percentage here, but it is a brutal fight as Fraser Raccoon, the dupe there. We typically see like the dupe onto the Maga, right? And those are the competitions, but the dupe onto the Queen. I think Shock coming in with like a next fight, right? With the Queen ult. This is where we saw
Sombra.
Yeah, success in the last match. Yeah, Sombra is
spotted
from a mile away.
Early cage fight though, go for a pick straight away. Scissors forced into a dupe, but he's going to be knocked out of it instantly. No chance to make it. Echo ultimate whatsoever. So Scissors eventually falls down, and that's Crazy Raccoon more than happy to spend the cage on a free pick.
ラリー4増してるもんな。
Being hunted right now. Kellen falls back on the point now as he can of course go for a rampage that didn't quite hit the mark. Rack attack is down. Kellen now under a lot of pressure.
何がそんな
Will
差ついて
eventually
んだよこ
claim
れ。
him. He's saying can do no wrong. Whether it's the Farah or the Echo, this guy is dominant.
Yeah, and the hardest part, right, is going to be keeping Kellen alive
with
that front-loaded damage of the Reaper and then the finishing beam, you know, focusing beam of the Echo, right? So once Kellen has the shout like gone, he's like on the back foot, and I mean, there's just a lot that Crazy Raccoon can take advantage of there.
You don't have that same level of durability, really, and I guess you're hoping for Tree to play around EMPs pretty heavily.
The Maga can stand there and fight, right? Yeah. You know, if you have the cardiac overdrive going, you can just stand there and fight, right? Where the Queen, you have a brief moment of opportunity.
アジアで覚醒しないと自宅者やってもらえるのが強すぎて回したりとか。
Okay, initially they're trying to drive rack attack there, but they peel off the brick briefly. Another dupe here from Queen, good axe hit. That's going to get a lot of
このメーターバッチリ合ってると思うんだよ
EMP
ね。
does come in, that's going to blow Junbin over, but it's a 1-for-1
その
in the
EMP
fight.
は結構
There was already an orbital ray that came down from Shu. Crazy Raccoon are benefiting from it, and Heesang did get a duped ultimate from the Junker Queen. It's rack attack, who got bowled over again. What a start for Crazy Raccoon, man. These guys are looking sharp.
Yeah, I guess the positive there for Shock is the point wasn't taken at the moment, right? So they're not, so they're not down by like 50%, right? But still, I mean, it just feels like that was a great opportunity, right? You had a nice EMP there from Tree. It's just the dupe of the Queen, right? You get a rampage coming on through there. Get the Queen low enough to that once you get back into the Echo form, you're able to finish it off. This is an opportunity though. Dupe the Maga potentially and get another cage fight.
Left depth packed up, and the virus coming from Tree. It's going to be the cleanup on the Reaper. Losing rack attack might be even more important, especially when Chorong has rally. Oh, the sneaky connection on Scissors.
ですか、そのやつらウルトハケはいいなんでウルトハケないんだろう。ハカないとハケないんだろうね、今。
In this economy, up to 59% and counting for Crazy Raccoon. One last chance for NRG, and he's saying
なんでこんな強い
he's
の
been perfect.
I mean, looking
何
phenomenal
が
on
違う
the Echo. Lots of, like you mentioned, sticky bomb connections. Just putting down a lot of damage with even the primary fire, and then it feels like every time there's a player below 50%, they're getting finishes off with the focusing beam.
Genuinely for me,
ショックこの大会で一番弱いと思う
I think it's an easy one to say. Ultraviolet caught there by Shu, the torpedoes actually claim them. Here comes a rampage through as a dupe of a brick here for Heesang. Shu did fall, but I mean, we had a flip by NRG Shock at the last moment. Crazy Raccoon will have to double back in just a moment. Going to use a free rally, but it will be short as Heesang comes out of dupe. Brack does go down, and eventually Crazy Raccoon do have to go and flip.
Yeah, I believe the rampage
ピーさんとリップの噛み合い方が素晴らしい。
So Kellen only was able to connect with one there. So
で準備がどんどんピックプル広がってくるんだ。
ends up flipping the point, but
EMP.
It's going to be Crazy Raccoon taking it right back.
Straight away, EMP gets popped, flip almost affected by the virus there. Yep, it did come in. Junbin though able to bring rack attack down, and again the brick gets picked off. Crazy Raccoon.
EMP でキル効果
Great target
どういうことな
acquisition
の
from them here. Orbit array from Shu. One comes in from NRG Shock here, but they've lost that Sombra. And Kellen is going to be surrounded. Junbin looking at Gunner down. He's saying might have been removed there in that canopy fight, but Junbin is still very, very healthy. Kellen wants to come forward, but now those miniguns are starting to find the mark, but Scissors quietly has amassed 2 important kills in this fight. Towards Chorong do yield that elimination, but Scissors caught in the corner. Junbin eventually able to make the on the wall out of the echo, and a Death Blossom here from Lip inside that cardiac overdrive means a replay.
ランクまでこんなに無双するわけないじゃん。
3 kills for Lip. And that will
何
be
これ
CR
なんで
eventually
こんな
take
チー
that
ムの
flash
差が
point.
できてるの
And Junbin did such a tremendous job holding on to that cardiac overdrive for the right time, right? You knew that he was getting 2 players off the spawn to come back on in. Had the ability, just kind of played around the cover there. And the central pillar was able to get healed up a little bit, then use the cardiac overdrive when they were pushing on in with the Reaper. And then at that point, the Reaper and the Maga basically unkillable.
Duplication on the horizon for Heastang, maybe another Queen into the mix. Oh, what a stop! Yeah, again, Raccoon is the first to go down. There's just not much he can do if he's hit by that Malga charge.
そんなに下手くそなヒ
And now it's
ーローじゃ
Kellen
ね
getting a
え
lot of
よ。
scrutiny. Won't have an ultimate available in
なんだよ
time
こ
as
の
he
ゲーム。
falls. CR with another first fight.
This
くだらねえっ
is
て。
a fast series potentially, right? You know, you think first to 2 with the first series of the day, right? It goes to 3, so you don't really kind of consider how fast some of these could go.
I think it's our biggest mismatch on paper,
そうなん
Matt,
だ。
coming in.
Yeah, it might be.
Just with Crazy Raccoon feeling like maybe a better
何が
team
こ
in
の
this
メタ
meta.
なん
No
だよ
one's playing the bloody meta. Oh, they are now at least. Takes fight here. Kellen caught inside of it. Needs to swing with the axe. Doesn't have the access to his ultimate though. That's the problem. No chance to rampage his way through that mess of players. The Rakzak going down here. Shu did use that orbital ray, but NRG Shock don't have a whole lot of
ゲージ打っ
leverage
た
in this
瞬間に
next
終わる
fight.
だ
It
よ
had to
ね
be a pretty darn good rampage. Maybe an EMP to back it up.
Yeah, but you think there's going to be like a big dupe coming in here and then also potentially like a Death Blossom over from the side. So we'll see how they end up navigating. This tree could also get in position here for a big EMP.
TP away, it's going to be an EMP catching on to fire. This has got to be here if it's going to be anywhere for NRG Shock. Tree goes down to the rampage is a great follow-up as predicted.
でもさすがにこのエンゲージは勝つでしょ。
NRG Shock
このエンゲージ負けたらもう意味わかんない。
foothold here on Suravasta. Okay, we go for these. Lip hard to kill during that ultimate, but didn't have the damage. Clean up the Queen. He'll be slinking away.
It's wild he's still alive. It's, they like get back towards the rest of his team. So somehow Lip able to stay alive and Shock flipped the point where
ワンエンゲージ取るだけで盛り上がるもん。
win fight, right? You got the orbital race, you're in position to potentially do it.
Right here for Ultraviolet. Here's the dupe of the Queen. He's touches down, goes for it now. Command shout in response here from Kellen. He's use of it there as well. Hack here onto the Queen. He's saying can't use that rampage. He's knocked out of it during the wind-up. Now a little bit vulnerable against the Sombra out in the open. And NRG Shock finally found
でも今のリプレイで見ていきましょう。
Crazy Raccoon forced onto the back foot.
お、ショックワンポイント取るぞ。ワンポイント取るぞ。これチャルド。
This is going to be the toughest one, though. No orbital ray. You're just going to have the rally to work with here. And CR, I mean, you hold on to some of these ultimates, right? Kind of playing for that last fight. You got to rally to match, but the orbital ray.
And goes Chorong here. Oh, on the tree. The stun ends up claiming the Sombra.
ありませんでした。
Rackattack did get a rally off here, but no Sombra again to work within this fight. It'll be the 7-foot gaming warlord plunging into the mix. It's Kellen brought down by a focusing beam. Crazy Raccoon can now walk back to flip the point here, and it's unclear if NRG Shock have any chance of keeping this going.
Yeah, we'll see if anybody can get here to touch Trigger OT, but even if they do,
they get it.
Yeah, it's not going to be for long.
何がそんなに違うの？
Only the Sombra to keep
誰か
things
教えて
alive,
ほしいんだ
and
けど。
Crazy Raccoon, a comfortable sweep. Not of the reverse variety in this series, it's a 2-0.
Nah, just the dominant performance from Crazy Raccoon. They come in, they take care of business. Now they move on as Shock.
確かに予想的には一番強いチームと一番弱いチームでもあるよ。あるけどさ。
I did think that Shock looked better when they were playing the Queen. I think playing, especially I know the Winston or Diva into Crazy Raccoon is going to be tough for just about anybody.
強い声で来るわ。本当にカス出てこないよ。
Yeah, we definitely look forward to some discussion here from our experts on like the role of the Sombra in that setup. Again, pretty good at neutralizing individuals, but there are too many impactful players on Crazy Raccoon.
もうどうしようもないねこれ。どうすれば勝てるんだ。
Unexpected parameters for our number 2 seed from the Asia region, who many teams have been whispering says they feel like they even have the edge over Falcons. the team that was coming out of that Asian region in the #1 spot here. Look, this is probably the shakiest out of the NA region, but again, we saw very little from NRG Shock in their debut here.
Yeah, I mean, I think Crazy Raccoon obviously takes care of business here. It's really exciting. Potentially, we get more of that, Falcons versus Crazy Raccoon rivalry. But I think our next two games are going to be really fascinating.
And so we're going to head over to Danny here for a post-match interview.
バイオレットが全て壊せばワンチャン勝てると思うんだ。
Richard Matt, thank you very much. What is up, everybody? I'm here with Lip from Crazy Raccoons coming out from a dominant win. Fantastic stuff. I mean,
日本語でインタビューして日本語で。
I would say that this was pretty an easy win for Crazy Raccoons. I want to focus on something else. Of course, great victory. But another thing is, Lip, you've been selected as our Asia MVP chosen by the fans. So Stockholm, give it up for Lip. I want to hear from you. How does it feel to be our Asia MVP? 자, 오늘 승리도 당연히 중요하지만은 또 거기다가 또 팬들이 선정한 이번 연도의 아시아 MVP로서 소감 한 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다.
일단 아시아 부분에서 정확하게 MVP를 투표해 주신 팬분들께 감사드리고 또 오늘 스웨덴에서 처음 열리는 이제 경기도 응원해 주신 팬분들에게 감사하다는 말씀 전해드리고 싶습니다.
まだ日本勝ってる。危ねえ。でもチャンスで点取れてるね。
appreciate that, and also thank you for cheering us on to win all the matches as well. Thank you very much. I mean, Lip, this is nothing new. I mean, throughout your whole career, even in the Overwatch League, you've won grand finals. You've achieved so much, got a lot of awards. What does this Asia MVP mean for you? 자, 립 선수는 당연히 이번에도 이제 아시아 MVP뿐만이 아니라 예전 오버워치 리그에서도 급파도 우승을 해본 적이 있고 또 많은 상장을 계속 받아왔었는데 이번 아시아 MVP가 좀 더 중요한 이유가 있다면 뭐가 있을까요?
일단 과거에도 이제 연속으로 수상을 한 만큼 이번 연도도 처음 생기는 상이지만 좀 그런 영광을 좀 오래 유지하고 싶었어서 좀 기대를 했었는데 이번에도 처음으로 받게 돼서 아직까지 끝까지 유지할 수 있는 게 저는 참 좋다고 생각해요.
It's throughout the whole years I did get a lot of awards, and I think this is very special because this is the very first award that I got from OWCS, and it's a meaningful one because I want to carry on this legacy for myself as well. All right, I'm going to end the interview here. Lip, thank you so much, everybody. Give it up for Lip one more time. That's take it away.
Thank you so much, Danny. Congratulations to Crazy Raccoon. One round done. Many more to go in order to reach the OWCS Grand Final here, of course. Now we're here to break it all down for you. But first, few words here on Lip, of course, as our Asia MVP, voted by the people as well as the teams. Everyone got to chime in on that one. Not a shocker, I would say. Lip has been collecting trophies and all sorts of awards ever since he started his Overwatch career, and this is one of many, but a meaningful one to him, as we just heard.
He's the GOAT, stays on top. Not much more to say.
Is he the, literal GOAT? He's certainly in the greatest of all time conversation when it comes to Overwatch esports,
He's
Jake.
certainly a hoofed animal.
And now another Asia MVP. I mean, he was a three-time Role Star in the Overwatch League. Sure. He was the sole leader in that category, right? So this is a guy, since he came into the Overwatch League in 2020, that has just been fantastic every single season, every single year. And this has been another one of those years, Jake, where Lip has just been dominant and arguably the best hitscan player in the world. So now, certainly in the greatest of all time conversation, and with a win, if Crazy Raccoon win the entire event, I think it should probably be fair to say that Lip is the greatest Overwatch player of all time.
I think that is a statement that definitely can be made, and also it's a great statement for all the veteran players out there. We have so many young, talented players now in this open ecosystem, which are nipping at their heels. So for Lip to make a statement and say nah, we still got it. We still got it. Getting that first MVP award here in our first ever OWCS season. Now, of course, if we're looking here at the match we just saw, Energy Shock, that was an uphill battle for sure for them, given that, Raccoon were just on point. There was a very oppressive
Not much of a battle, sorry. Not much of a battle.
A battle was had. But yeah, I mean, Raccoon coming out on top here, to no one's surprise, we did see that. There were a few moments for Energy Shock where it looked like they almost got some momentum going, a team fight here, a team fight there. But Raccoon, very oppressive playstyle, is very hard to go up against.
Yeah, I mean, I think this first map really set them off really well on the Ilios. It's a strat that pretty much no one else plays. The Lucio, the Ana, the Wrecking Ball, Pharah, Tracer. This is a crazy Raccoon special, and it's just incredibly hard to prepare for because, number one, there's no other team in the world that is even going to attempt this, and number two, you're going up against some of the best players to ever do it across the roles, across the heroes. So much comfort and confidence for them. So, I mean, Ilios is a brutal map 1 draw, and then you see what they can do on the Rush comp on map 2, and I mean, yes, a little competitive. There's some team fights here and there, but come on, if it's any less competitive than that, it's like you're getting desperate.
The tempo and pressure coming out from Crazy Raccoon is just ridiculous. And I think we saw it especially on Ilios. Like, they were pushing spawn doors, right? And they did so on Saravasa as well. But you saw that everyone got involved. Even Chorong on the Lucio got into the backline, you know, utilized the sound barrier to go aggressive. And that is what Crazy Raccoon do so well. They have such incredible individual skill, and they put so much pressure from every single position that it's really hard for a team like NRG to even walk up, to take space, because you're constantly challenged by every single player on the enemy team. And that is how Crazy Raccoon get it done. They put so much pressure on you, you are not able to walk up, you're not able to get any momentum, and they get shut down in this series 2-0 NRG.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't their series to win. I think that they were most likely aware of that. Now they're finding themselves in the lower bracket going up against Twisted Minds. And one of these teams will be going home already today. How do you think those two teams, after we've seen both of them on the stage, will stack up against one another?
I do think there's hope for NRG in that match, given that, you know, what ended up being the Achilles heel for Twisted Minds was this Queen comp with like a lot of aggression. That's what Falcons found as the answer to this Ashe Pharah style that Twisted Minds wants to run. And I think that's actually a style that NRG could potentially replicate, right? Bringing a really high pace with the Queen. That's a style I think that they already want to play, so they could stack up well. At the end of the day, though, as much as you can, you know, you have like a theoretical counter, if Quartz and Lambda are playing super well, finding these opening kills, picking you off on the walk-ups, if they can continue to deliver that kind of performance, NRG could be in real trouble.
I think what is so scary for NRG going into that series is that Twisted Minds, they have a pretty good win condition. They know what they're going to do with the poke composition. We can find picks with the Pharah, we can find picks with the Ashe, and that's what we're going to rely on. We're going to disengage. And it's in NRG's court to try to adjust accordingly, try to work around that. And that can be an uphill challenge, especially when the mechanical skill from Lambda and Quartz is so high. So that it'll be on NRG to kind of adapt accordingly to Twisted Minds. And that can be tough to do, especially in the moment when you haven't gotten that much practice against them.
A lot of pressure on Tree. I think, right? We saw Stalker go head-to-head with Quartz and be super competitive. Can Tree do the same? I think he has the skill, but this is a big match and he absolutely needs to perform.
Yeah, we saw how well it worked.
ここは今日一番面白いよな。
Now, of course, they're looking to replicate this performance when they go up against Energy Shock in that lower bracket. But we're not done in the upper bracket for now. We're heading into a very quick break. We're going to see you on the other side.
ショックいいシーンあったこれ。ここから3分待つのか。どうでもいい話するか。来月すげえ忙しいんだよ。7日がオーバーウォッチオフ会やって、8日が野球の総会があって、9日と10日がバンドリなんだ。11だけ空いてて、そうだっけ？確認しよう。もうバンドリで待ってんだよ。とりあえず今週の日曜バレるじゃん。7日がオフ会で、8が野球で、14、15がバンドリで、21が空いて、22がバンドリで、28、29がバンドリ声優のイベントが入ってるから、めちゃくちゃバンドリなんだよな、来月。 オーバーウォッチを控えするか。年末はイベント多め、そう、本当に。今月なんもないと思ったらバレル行こうってなったからさ。なんか面白いからバレル行ってやろうと思ったら入っちゃってさ。まあ一応登録者1400人だから、1回ぐらい俺の動画再生したことある人、多分1人ぐらいいるんだろう。きっと俺とは認識しない人はいるだろうけど、ほぼ認識しないだろうけど。チャンネル登録してる人なんか絶対来ないけど。よそから見たら俺バレルのアンチだからな。でも割とあの動画荒れてないんだ。バレルのアンチかと思ったら的確なこと言ってますみたいなコメント結構多いから。
Zoe here, joined by Jake and Johnny. We're treated to 2 fantastic games already in the upper bracket, but the day is far from over. We have so many more matches to get through. Let's actually start things off with looking at the bracket so you know exactly if you just tuned in where we're currently at. 2 upper bracket matches done. We already determined one of the lower bracket matches, which will also be happening.
いきなりファルコンズでクレイジーラクーンかよ。
We also take a look at
ひど
the
すぎんだよ
upper
このカード。
brackets and how they shape up, Jake.
So it looks like we were incorrect. It's actually not going to be Twisted Minds versus NRG. It'll be the losers of the next matches that go up against those teams. Still interested to see if we do see that
ヨーロッ
matchup
パ
play
ヨーロ
out
ッパ
later.
が
I
勝っ
think
て
it
も
could be
アメリ
exciting.
カが勝っても
Yeah, the
面
lower
白くねえ
brackets
カー
is
ド
a
にな
great
っちゃ
place to be on day 1 facing elimination. Doesn't feel good.
う。もうちょっとなんと
Yeah,
かな
and
らなかった
especially for 2 teams as well that are playing off meta, of course, it's going to be some interesting matchups because both teams are bringing a different flavor. The opposition is, of course, going to have to adjust accordingly.
Yeah, there are going to be quick adaptations needed for many of those teams, may take in previous matches they've seen earlier today into account. This is our schedule for today. As I said, we have plenty of matches to get through. And also, as a treat, we're going to get that first look at Hazard in a show match as well, which both of you will be playing in.
Oh, that'll be fun, Jake. Squaring up once more.
I'm excited. Hazard's a lot of fun. Really interesting tank play. I think really opens the game up.
逆にシャムさんみ
Especially
た
as
い
a
に
DPS player, I think it's one that I particularly enjoyed in the playtest. So I'm excited to
イオン
play
で
it on stage, show it off for the
やる
fans.
か
And
もう一
I'm
回
excited for people to get their hands
茅ヶ
on it.
崎のイオンで
I
やり
just
まし
love
ょう。
how hard Johnny tried to allude to the fact that he's currently up 2-0 in show matches.
I
against
didn't
you.
say anything.
No, but you implied it.
I'm humble. I'm Swedish. It's also I can't take credit for
でも
that.
これ
I got carried by my team.
保
And I
険が入るのが
expect-
さ
I think Illusion is on my team, so I expect to be carried by Illusion.
Again,
茅ヶ崎とイオン2つあるんだ
whatever
よ。
works for you, Johnny. Whatever
Hey, being
works.
carried
茅ヶ
works.
崎店
Okay?
と茅ヶ崎駅前
It
店がある
does.
から
It really does. Speaking of carry, well, those
Oh
guys
my
can carry
God.
anyone.
兄から来ます。
Holy, Hadi.
結構
Well,
バッ
let's
ク
be
ボー
real
ン
here.
バックボーン
SSG,
くれて
they're
も
gonna
怪しい
go
よ。
up against Nightmare, but SSG,
どうせリーパー
this
なんだろ
team
うけ
could
ど、さ
not
すがに
have
リー
asked
パー
for
だと
a
思うけど。
better meta for the World Finals, Johnny.
No, they couldn't have. I mean, we talk about them as the premier brawl team in the West. You know, they're so strong when Hadi comes out on that Reinhardt, on that Ramartra. But Mauga, I don't think there's going to be too much of a difference, of course. Hadi, you know, he can rock up on that Mauga. And they're so proficient when it comes to these kind of like ability, ultimate-oriented metas. You know, Christopher, their coach, takes great pride in the communication of this team. But also the way they navigate the map, right? The way they navigate, sometimes using the Symmetra teleporter to find themselves in advantageous positional matchups. That is what they excel in.
ハディとリップはなんか違う競技やった方が強いと思う。
I think they're going to be a really scary team because they know how to operate in this meta and perhaps take the better angles, the better fight win conditions, how to get more ultimate value. When you look at some of the other teams that preferably would maybe want a more mechanical kind of meta, relying on like hit scan or projectile heroes, Jake.
Yeah, I think this should definitely be a comfort zone for SSG.
なんだっけ
On the flip side, though, I think Nightmare has also looked
名
strong
前
when
が
it
出て
comes
こ
to
ない
the team coordination metas. And I do think there's still room for innovation, especially in the DPS lineups. I think we've seen a lot of different looks come out from different teams, and they've been surprisingly effective, even when they're not, let's say, maybe the most dominant comp, like the Reaper Echo, maybe we've heard is most popular.
ベルーが
I
楽
think
しみ
there's
とかあ
still
る
room
か
for
な。楽しみ
innovation. I think we're still early in the tournament, and seeing
ベ
teams
ルー
like
とサ
Crazy
ポートライン
Raccoon play the ball comp, and you know, even Twisted Minds looking pretty good with the Far Ash. I think that shows that there's still
残念だった
more
ま
to
す
be uncovered in this meta as we
ス
get
パイギア
deeper
は
into
別ゲーじゃないんだよ。
Yeah, and I think for
あ
Nightmare
いつ
as
オーバーウォ
well,
ッ
I
チ
think
だ
we're
からな。
such an exciting team. They've gotten better as, you know, this year has progressed. and they were one team fight away
オー
from
バーウォッ
beating
チで日本代表になれなかった男だ
North America. They're, like you said, they're so good when it comes to Infected playing the Orisa back then, but now similarly, I think they can kind of replicate that with Infected playing the Mauga this time around. I'm looking up for Zero and Spirit Seeker to have tremendous impact in the damage department. I love the way they play. They're aggressive, they're proactive, they try to take initiative, and that could be the recipes for success for Nightmare going up against SSG.
All right, and if we're looking here at the mode win percentage,
まあでも身長クソでけえからな。
it doesn't look bad for either of those teams. They're competent on pretty much every map mode, so I don't think you can like really say like, oh, if we're taking them there, that's going to be our win condition.
And I think for Nightmare, though, it feels great to be strong on control, right? Because in a best of 3 or first to 2 series, right? Like getting that control map, if you can get that win, yes, you might lose map 2 to your opponent's map pick, but you really know you're in control of the series. So it even makes control more important than it usually is in this first to 2 format. So I think teams that come out of the gate really strong, really confident. Yes, and we saw Falcons bring it back. It's a really tough task to do that unless you have an incredibly deep map pool. So I think for both of these squads, they're both good at control. They're both confident in that game mode. So the question for me is, like, who starts off strong? I think that's going to have a huge impact on this series. I'd go so far as to say if you win map 1, I mean, you're maybe like 80-20 favored to close out the series from there. For the other team, you know, that's a tough mental barrier to overcome. Whoever loses map 1, it's going to be a test of their resilience. Do they have like just a mental fortitude to come through it?
Well, I feel like SSG does have just that, but let's see. Maybe one team can ride that momentum of a first map victory. For now, we're going to toss it over to an interview we had prior to Team Nightmare.
What's up, everybody, guys? I'm Jake. I'm here with Nightmare. We're here to chat. We're here to do a little building action. How you guys feeling? You guys feeling confident on the furniture build? Is something you guys do at home?
Nope. I do this all the time. Never.
Never.
多分スパイギアも日本代表になったら変わったんだろうな。
And when it comes to getting this thing, so I'm gonna try and sit on this at the end. So I'd like you to.
Yeah, you got that. In fact,
you're gonna get injured. Put your best foot forward. Put your best foot forward. We can begin the build now. So feel free if you guys wanna take a look. You know, you wanna sort around and.
Can we touch it or?
Yeah. You can look around. I'm gonna start asking you questions. I'll give you kind of the heads up as we get into the questions. These guys are moving fast. They're not waiting on me. I like that. So he's going this size. Yeah. All right. So my first question, you guys. Let me go down the line. I'm curious. How do you guys see the North American region coming into this competition? How do you think the regions stack up against each other? Where do you think the place for North America is?
Does this even fit?
I'm gonna give you a heads up. You're doing it wrong.
Dude, I've never done this before.
Dude.
There's instructions. There's instructions?
Yeah, you should look at the instructions.
Honestly, we're probably the second best region.
Second best region?
I think EU sucks.
EU sucks? All right.
Agreed.
And the Koreans are always good, so we're probably the second best.
What are we doing?
All right, you guys. So tell me about playing, international matches with some of the best teams in the world. Talked about, Korean teams with Crazy Raccoon and Falcons. How do you approach matches against teams like that?
I think it's important to understand that most matches we would be an underdog, and I think being an underdog can go a long way. There's not a lot of pressure. The Korean teams are always considered the best, so I think they have a lot of pressure on them to win, and I think that's why a lot of the time they're nervous to play against the teams from NA and EU. From my experience, I think just go into each match expecting like an underdog mentality, and then that'll go a long way. No pressure.
Do you guys see yourselves in that position generally in the tournament as an underdog team? Or are there teams that you are kind of expecting to be like a dominant performance for you?
We're definitely the team that has like the newest kids on the block, I guess, and like also we're like the team with like the least amount of following. Like all these teams have a lot of like loyal fan bases.
Yeah.
Recently came out of the woodworks. So I think that gives us a lot of confidence to like prove ourselves. So I would say that we're going into this expecting to also, but like I said, mentality is definitely the underdog mentality. Yeah, flip it upside down. Flip it upside down. Upside down? Yeah.
日本で2番目にうまいメインサポーターだから。
No! It's fine. We need to spread it out. Bro, what the
heck? It's
not looking What do you think distinguishes your region's approach to Overwatch compared to others in this tournament?
We have a lot of fun personalities coming out of the North American region. People like PGE, you should focus on the chair. People like PGE,
the chair's cooked.
Scissors, Kellen, CJ, Clear.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Karen is forfeit.
RuPaul, Big J. Oh my God. How are you guys? Okay.
Big personalities for the fans to get behind. That's like the reason.
If I don't got a girl that can't build this, then we're cooked.
And amazing skills.
あれウルトラバイオレットこの時
All three teams of Toronto.
正解出たけどゼロ出ちゃって。
How are you doing? How What are you doing?
All right, the team chemistry is not looking good going into this tournament, guys. It's a bad
No, we
sign.
need to build the chair.
So I'll take this as the final question.
This
So
is
tell me
perfect.
about this Nightmare team. What do you think your identity is? How do you guys
岩手と文化大使なん
coming
だ
into this tournament?
I feel like we're like kind of like a friend team because outside of like the team prior, we're all like friends beforehand. Like me, Infected, Zero, Clear. Like we all like talked a lot and been friends for a while. So I feel like we're like very fun and exciting team.
Yeah, well, I think the fans will be able to see that shine through. Hope you guys have a great tournament. Excited to see you do more. And now, I'm supposed to sit on this thing.
You might be able to
We didn't
sit
even
ish.
do that bad. You just gotta be gentle.
Yeah.
All right, guys. The moment of truth. You guys don't want to like step back. I'm extremely low confidence in this thing. Oh my god, this is like a modern art piece, dude. This is, there's no way. I'm gonna be.
Hey,
on
we got
my
all the
butt.
nails on the side though. You just gotta be gentle. Just gotta be gentle.
座れんのそれ座れんの座れんの
Oh my god. Wait.
The floating feet test. Oh my
Like-
god.
like-
All right,
座れた
I'm fearing for my life. I'm walking away.
I knew it
we
would
did it
work.
somewhat,
I
right?
knew
It's
it would
fine,
work.
it's fine.
What can I say?
Thank you, Nightmare. Appreciate you guys. At least I could sit on it. You know, could have been worse.
Hey, we got the job done. Kind of.
A chair is meant to be sit on. You sat on it.
Well, that's a concept of an idea of a chair right there for you. Jake, you're a very brave man.
You know, I think they play Overwatch better than they read flat pack instruction manuals. So hopefully for the match they can put out a better performance. But you know what? I sat on it. It worked.
It worked.
I kind of think that kind of like mirror their play style. They didn't read instructions. They got to work. They took initiative, and somehow it ended up working.
I loved the initial like approach there, like Clear coming in with the mise en place, right? Sorting the screws, that it all figured out. Half a minute later, he's throwing. He's literally throwing. That's the mental fortitude you were talking about.
Was that mental fortitude to throw the
No,
chair?
it's the opposite. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's not boding well for this team. Let's take a look at our talent predictions to see who had faith. I'm gonna go with SSG here. This is their meta. This is their time to shine. They're confident. They're unfazed. They're moisturized. They're in their lane. They got this.
It looks like production disagrees.
これは
here.
SSG 勝ちことだ
Not what I said. That's still not what I said.
But I,
Keep on trying.
I'll take this, Fred. I actually went with Nightmare. You know, there's been a team that I've had supporting all year. Swap, it's okay, whatever.
Smiley face.
You know, but they're a team that I think their friendship has shined through,
この
right?
辺
It's
は
like the
読めな
trust
いよ
they have in
な
each other, the fun, the passion they have for the game, the motivation.
SSG
every time I
何してく
talk
る
to
か分
players
かん
like
ねえわ
Zera, you know, they really have a lot of motivation to prove that NA still wants it, NA still motivated. They are going to face an incredibly tough test, which is an SSG in a rush meta. I think probably, you know, the facts of the situation are against them, but the vibes from Johnny, the vibes are all Nightmare.
You mean because you're American, you like the American vibes?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't. What did I go with production? What did I go with?
Let's find
Reveal
out.
it.
Ask them, yeah.
I did think I said space station. That's right. Because
So
of
did
course.
I don't like this.
Well, you know, if Jake went with it, you know, don't falter.
it's
So
fine.
feel confident.
No.
Well, okay, never mind. I went with Space Station because they have been the best brawl team for a couple of years now in the Western region, Jake, in the Western region. And I do think that they can come out, you know, looking good in this kind of meta. This should be the kind of meta that SSG really should excel at. Yes, it's not Reinhardt being played specifically. It's not Ramatra being played specifically. But the Mauga is like as close as you can ask for if you are SSG. And all their players, they're so good when it comes to excelling at some of these heroes. I'm looking forward to see if we get to see Backbone in the lineup. Because Backbone, if he can come out play the Symmetra, the Reaper, that would really, you know, favor him. We haven't seen that much Symmetra, but we did see in stage 4, SSG, you know, throw out the Symmetra with the cardiac overdrive from the Mauga, right? You know, you're really able to channel up that beam. That's a lot of damage. So SSG, I'm really excited to see what they can do in this meta.
And we haven't seen either team in action for quite some time. Stage 4 feels like an eternity away. What kind of note did both of these teams end up on in stage 4?
Well, with SSG, right, they were incredibly strong, look great in that meta, and like you said, you know, I think it really is not about individual heroes. Like people look at Hottie, they think, oh, Reinhardt, right? But it's more that this team just has great in-fight communication. They're great at adapting to these small moments. You know, one skill comes up, they see the window to push strong as a team, and they have the faith in each other to execute on those small advantages. And I think having seen the first few matches, I think this is a great meta for SSG. I think they probably are the favorite to win this. But Nightmare is that team that I feel like can always make some magic happen, right? It's going to be a tougher test for them. I think the meta is probably against them based on what we've seen so far in the tournament. But maybe they can pull something out of their hat. Maybe, find a way for Seeker or Zero to stick with the heroes that they're most comfortable on. Maybe bringing out something like the hit scan for Seeker. It could be a way to throw a wrench in the works against SSG. But at the same time, like you said, Johnny, right? Like the ability to play the high pace. Funny Astro, known as a Lucio player, but has looked really great on the Juno as well.
Yeah.
No, you go ahead.
We agree. I wanted to say as well, we should highlight Psycho, I think, because we've seen SSG in the past, they like to play Sparker's hit scan capabilities. But we've also seen from Psycho, he's had a really good year. He was a Stage 2 MVP. And if you remember that Stage 2 finals between SSG and ENCE, it was actually Psycho who put himself in the driver's seat for SSG and said, hey coach, slot me in. Like, I want to get in the game. I really do think I can carry this. I think I can have a tremendous amount of impact. And he did so on the Tracer. But if we're going to see more Echo, we've seen Heesang already, for example, pull out Echo. That is another hero that Psycho can come out on and have tremendous impact on. So SSG, typically we rely on Sparker. Psycho could be another player to watch out for in this team.
Could indeed. I'm very excited for this matchup, and it's about to go down on our very stage. So let's send it over to Golden Boy to meet the teams.
All right, folks, it's a classic NA-EU rivalry, and I'll tell you what right now, I think we might be in a, if you're an NA fan, you might be in hostile territory out here because it's going to be all EMEA, probably because everyone's going to be losing their minds for this team. Welcome to the stage, Space Station Gaming!
Space Station Gaming joins the tournament as the best Brawl team in the West, and they couldn't have asked for a better meta. Hardy's reputation precedes him as the premier Reinhardt player in the West, but he's as reliable on the Mauga should it be his hero of choice today. Backbone is a player to watch as the master of unique heroes, but it's going to be the Reaper or Symmetra, and given the meta we're presented with, his impact is going to be of utmost importance in today's series.
And their opponents. They can't build a chair to save their life, but they're damn good at Overwatch. Put your hands together for Nightmare!
This team came together over the course of the year, bringing in pieces, bringing in friends from disparate rosters, and finally they come here to the OWCS World Finals in their strongest form yet. Building around Infected in the tank position, this team is going to have to give everything to shut down SSG.
All right, coaches, fist bump players, take your stations and let's send it back over. These guys doing triple duty. He got Uber and Mr. X on the call. Have fun, fellas.
Someone should tell me doing the first 4 games.
He's going to get tired of saying our names.
He's going to throw it to us over and over again, baby. That's what we like.
さあ、NTMR ライトメアがどのぐらい食らいついていくか。
Mentioned on the desk, but this is the team that pushed the Toronto Defiant all the way to the edge.
もはや NTMR ってナイトメアってなんか短いよな。
Incredible at the end of regular season play.
いつも思うんだけど。
Yeah, I mean, I think both of these teams, right? I think Johnny makes a great point, right? SSG, the best in the West playing the Brawl, but I think Nightmare has been on an upward trajectory all year long.
I asked Hardy, I said, what do you think about Nightmare? Because there's like some rumors that they kind of play like you. And he
ハディとか殴り合ったらパンパンだもん。
I think they're like fans of us. So there's an acknowledgement that these two teams really like to play like a very similar style.
Calling like another competitive player a fan is probably like, the biggest low blow you could get.
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty laid back about it. You know what Hardy's like. It's Oasis, of course, for the first map in this series. But these are two teams that really pride themselves on their ability to play like a macro game. Hardy's not the only person that thinks that they're pretty similar. But, hearing from him, he feels like they're in a great spot. It is their time. They're like a hive mind, these SSG guys. They're always on the same page.
I mean, it's like the perfect storm for them, right? Brawl meta, we're here in EMEA, right? Like, it just feels like
スキンヘッド似合うのって外国人だよな。
whether it's like
日本人似合わないよな、スキンヘッ
Twisted
ド。
Minds has to make a deep run here. And I think the money would be on SSG.
And I asked Infected, I sort of said, like, how do you
日
feel
本
about
人が
this
ス
kind
キ
of meta?
ンヘッドやっぱハゲになる。
You're not so much a Malga player. He's like, it was a rough start, but I got there. I'm feeling pretty good. So, folks, here we have it. The stage is set. Space Station Gaming versus Nightmare. Coming at ya. Yeah, to expand on that, in fact, it was like I was more of like a Winston Orisa guy. Like that was my favorites, and it took me a little while to
good
get
luck,
settled
Habu-Han.
in this metagame. He also talks about that in an interview as well with your boy Xavier, Commander X over on YouTube. So you should go check that out. But yeah, again, these two teams really feel like
王さんはあれだな。
to play a similar way here. But it's Seeker, such a dominant hit scan player, now kind of on Reaper duty, whereas Psycho's been heralded as maybe one of the best echoes in the world. But he's saying is also in that discussion, I think.
Yeah, I would say so as well aware. SSG, no look, Backbone's a really strong Reaper as well.
最近焦点ばっか見てるから。
Like Reaper May, like just fantastic.
ずっと歌丸さんなんだよ、ハゲ。
More Backbone as we get things
グ
started.
ッドラック、ハーブファン、メタ通
We'll
り。
make a switch, and we'll actually get
つまんねえな、SSG がメタ通りとか。
mirror of the weekend thus far.
Now we are mirrored in the Malga comps, folks, and it's time to get started. The high grounds where the fight's starting. Hardy goes in with a charge here, and he and Infected need to manage those health pools very effectively. Nicely done by Zero, though, able to get the better of Hardy with that focusing beam, but Admiral got whip shot over the edge.
Yeah, and the biggest thing when you get in this Maga mirror is like that cardiac overdrive.
さすがにタンクいた方が有利か。
Impactful abilities from the Maga that you look and see like, okay, which team is kind of, you know, popping that first, maybe early, disengage, come back with your own, have a big advantage. It'll be Nightmare who takes control of the point first.
Great opener for them. CJ, one of the quickest in NA to really get the Juno vibes, really get that hero under his grip. Very, very good on that one. There's that orbital ray already developed here. Astro a little bit behind, so Nightmare might look to try and exacerbate this little ult.
このリープはどうだ
As they push up. It's going to be a great walk away by Backbone.
あれ、
Hardy's
早いよな、競技
We
シー
do
ン。
have that orbital ray deployed here. Lana goes for the rally as a stopgap, and then Astro sends his ultimate. And Hardy is going careening into Nightmare's Lana.
And Nightmare bails, though. They completely bail. And because they bail, Space Station trying to get some value, right? Trying to follow that up with that orbital ray. And Infected takes out Hardy as he pushes a little bit too deep. But no Nightmare kicked that off, right? Secret TPs in the back lane, takes a load of damage. Infected goes weak as well. And then that's when CJ uses the orbital ray to kind of help them stabilize.
まあ先落ちしてくから。
A little bit too ahead of that orbital ray. Psycho backs up here now. It's Nightmare that want to get aggressive this time around. Duplicate here of the Malga, of course. So Zero making two Angry Islanders on the map. Hardy's going to fall here to Zero, who goes in. Seeker with a death blast, definitely adding his damage to the mix here. And Nightmare have found a good pace already.
Yeah, and typically when you see the dupe of the Maga, right, you expect like that cage fight, potentially double cage fight, right? But right there is really interesting. They actually just went in with a double slam, right? They kind of used their Maga charge and the slam into the Death Blossom, right? Get two of those going down. That's a pretty sick combo.
Two consecutive.
ケージ今めっちゃ大事だからな。
Fights that overlap a little bit. It's going to be the
こんな
torpedoes
にケー
thrown
ジ
into
強い
the
メタ
edges
ちょ
by
っと
CJ.
珍しいと思う。
Yeah, it's the first to go down. Exactly. Admiral had that, but after the fact, it was Hardy able to channel his chat energy.
自力で言うと SSG の方が強いはずなんだ。
Yeah, you know, the second cardiac overdrive, right, is just massive. And that's able to keep them alive through the rally. Admiral ends up just jumping right into the cage, has that rally, trying to keep everybody topped up. It started off pretty good, but then as soon as that dupe comes in from Psycho, it is all a wrap in favor of SSG.
Infected here. See, adjusting to the Malga at the start of this metagame.